everybody, and welcome back to another Nextlander podcast. I'm Vinny Caravella, joined by Alex Navarro.
I would never accuse you of being anyone else.
Thank you very much. I know it's this face and this voice. It's I'm like
it's unmistakable.
Yeah, it's like
unfadable.
Who's the Dick Tracy?
Unremarkable.
The blank. The who's the 88 keys.
Oh yeah. The blank, no face, whatever you want to Donna, face. Whatever you want to call her.
I could be anyone. I could be anyone. Dick Tracy. Brad Shoemaker, how are you?
I was going to ask you to do your impression of that character, but you beat me to it.
I'm not Dick Tracy. Come for you. I can't really.
Spot on.
He's the one.
It's a little like Leia in Jabba's palace. Like it's got that kind of when she's the bounty hunter. She's the best Leia there is.
Did you say 88 keys? He's the one.
Yeah.
he makes bath time lots of fun.
Yeah, that's it.
Yes. Ernie. Bert? Ernie. Which one's
Ernie's the fun one.
Ernie's got the duck?
Yeah.
Okay.
Bert's
Ernie.
the uptight one.
Yeah. Ernie is Ernie.
Every relationship has a Bert and an Ernie. I'm the Ernie.
Bert's the Al Pacino in that situation, just trying to. I can't do it. I cannot do a Bert.
No, but I find Ernie's voice kind of impossible to do. Like Bert and
Ernie's
Ernie.
seems easier than Bert's.
You would think, but they're actually both kind of hard to get right.
Hey Bert. Hey.
It's like there's a very specific undertone.
What does he say? What's an
I don't know.
Ernie
I haven't
line?
watched Sesame Street since I was like 6, dude.
I
don't have children.
You're the one.
Yep, that's the one.
You make bath time lots of fun.
Yeah, it's okay. You know, you got in the neighborhood. I would say you're closer than most.
But then Bert's just a scowl. Like Bert's. That's the impression of Bert is just the eyebrows coming down.
Yeah. The face going slack.
Yes. Yes. Life draining out of him.
Mm-hmm.
Are they brothers? Or they're just roommates?
I think they're just friends.
Okay.
Life partners.
Life partners.
Sure.
There you go.
Yeah.
How did I never notice that Bert has a unibrow?
Oh, that's like his defining feature.
It's like that in his pointy head. Like those are kind of the two things.
I knew at one point, like you said, been a while.
It's been a while
since I have considered these characters.
Is Bert yellow and Ernie is orange?
Yes.
Okay. Thank goodness we've solved that mystery. Close the book on that one that's been going on for 46 years for me. Woo!
Yep.
Put it away.
We did it. We destroyed Sesame Street.
No, I destroyed Sesame Street ages ago. Sesame Street I was a Sesame Street fan.
Oh, yeah. Any kid who had
Street
PBS on television probably liked Sesame Street at least for a little bit.
Yes. I don't know why you wouldn't, really. It's I guess you can find it boring. Yeah. Well,
you age out of it at a certain point, but like I think when you're a little kid, like it's kind of the best thing they would put in front of you, at least when I was growing up.
There's a lot of competition for kids' attention these days in a way that we didn't have at the time.
And it's all a lot louder and more cutthroat than back in the day when it was just like, hey, Nickelodeon has some shows. Hey, here's some syndicated stuff. Hey, here's PBS fucking Sesame Street. Enjoy.
I bet there was something, Brad, this seems like up your alley, like you saw some documentary on this, but I bet there was something legally where broadcasting had to be educational in some form for kids in like the 70s or 80s. Okay.
Yeah, remember that was
the 70s, definitely.
That was part of the Reagan Revolution.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Like that's what allowed things like Transformers and G.I. Joe to exist and My Little Pony.
Thanks, Reagan!
Like I can't remember, I don't remember the exact wording of the regulation, but essentially like children's programming could not just be advertisements. Could not just be a commercial
toys.
For toys.
Mm-hmm.
Prior to that.
Because of Ronald Reagan, Vinny, that's why your shelf looks like that.
That's right. Thanks, Reagan. My shelf also looks like this because of Drill Baby Drill and all these plastic oil pieces. Sure, I'll call them oil pieces.
Sure,
they're my art.
Yes,
it's my art.
My posable art.
Who was Drill Baby Drill? That's not Reagan. Who was that? Is that Bush? I
want to say that was maybe a Bush, but I can't remember.
I cannot even imagine George H.W. Bush saying the word baby in that fashion.
Baby? Drill, baby. Drill.
I can imagine drill.
Yeah, there you go.
I can imagine Dana Carvey doing it.
Now that's an impression just about everyone from our generation at least has a bad version of.
Well, you got to be like, what is it? I won't do it. I'm not gonna
do it. Not gonna do it. Not gonna raise taxes.
But we really are all doing data carving.
Here's a little something I learned at CIA. Anyway, that's the entirety of my George Bush impression.
Good. Senior, obviously.
Yeah. No, I don't do the other one because it's not fun.
I'm gonna say clearly, I will love to hear an argument. Optimus Prime and Duke, Reagan voters, like without
Duke definitely.
Without, you don't think
Duke
Optimus
100%.
Dude, I had Googled. I just typed Ronald Reagan Transformers into Google to try to find that regulation, and instead, what I got back was a meeting between Optimus Prime and Reagan.
Yeah. Look, they had similar interests.
I've read a lot of the Transformers comics, but I cannot recall him meeting Reagan. They do work with the government, and there is some government stuff going on. But
we all remember the Megatron-Contra affair.
I can't even make it work.
Ollie North out there with fucking Megatron, fucking pulling some real shit.
It was in fact in a Marvel Comics Transformers issue from 1985.
Okay, he meets Reagan, or they work with Reagan.
Optimus Prime met with Reagan on the lawn of the White House to ask for peace, sort out an understanding, and perhaps form an alliance.
But
then the Insecticons attacked the White House.
Fucking bugs, man. That's
Did they get Reagan?
I assume Optimus Prime defended freedom and Reagan.
Did Optimus Prime stop John Hinckley?
Autobots forced the Insecticons into retreat.
You didn't know John Hinckley's gun was Megatron. That's actually Megatron.
I assumed it was.
Yeah.
Did you see? Is that really Hinckley on Twitter? Did you see?
Yes, it is.
Is that actually? It's really him.
Yes, he does post semi-regularly these days.
Like,
really?
He's been out of jail for a while, and he writes music now.
I really felt reality was folding in on itself when he tweeted shortly after the Trump shooting something about, like, give peace a chance, like, violence is not the way, or something like that.
Oh, that like breaks my brain a little bit.
He went hard in the peace direction, I think, in his
you know what?
incarceration.
I was like, look, I guess you would know.
I guess so.
Apparently, he also sustains himself. This is the craziest, best part. I don't know if this is his entire income.
Mm-hmm.
He basically paints the same painting over and over and over and sells it.
Okay.
I believe it's a painting of his cat.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Like it's kind of stylized, but each one is different. You know, I saw a bunch of them side by side. Like, you know, it's the same picture, but minor variations.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because he's hand doing it each time.
Yeah. He's just painting the same painting over and over and over and selling them for like $500 a piece.
Well,
like if you want the artwork of a presidential assassin on your wall, you can have it.
That's a real certain talking point. When
I think these days there aren't many presidential assassins that would be like good with having their art on. Yeah. I mean, again, Hinckley does seem like he has reformed himself to some degree, but you know,
I'm okay.
He did try to shoot a president. You can't really deny that part.
He didn't try.
He did shoot a president. He didn't kill the president. He did shoot a president.
Ironhide, libertarian, just straight.
Oh, definitely.
Sure, I can see it.
Yeah, he doesn't vote really. He just he goes out there. Starscream, third party spoiler. He's out there to fuck shit up.
Are the Constructicons communists because they have to form together to to make their full power?
Yes, all of the Gestalt Transformers have a collectivist bent.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna say like somewhere in the socialist communist realm. Yeah, you know,
I would call the Dinobots anarcho socialists. Like there's not really a guiding principle, but there is definitely a degree of helping one another.
The Dinobots are anarcho primitivists, of course.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, wow. How about
me Grimlock? Me want return to tradition.
What's Unicron? Unicron.
A mistake.
Unicron doesn't give a shit about
Unicron is just the Empire, man.
Yeah, that's
coming in and swallowing everything up.
Yeah, my all my politics formed by G.I. Joe and Transformers. It's just how it went.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Reagan era of cartoons.
It's the only education I was really getting at that point.
Gummy bears. I feel like they're a collective.
I feel like most of my politics, if they came from any cartoon when I was growing up, was David the Gnome, because that was just such a pleasant show and everyone was so helpful to each other in that show. I was just like, you know what? I want to be like David the Gnome and his crew.
Yeah.
would like to be like David the Gnome and his crew until maybe the final moments of David the Gnome.
But he lived so long, dude.
Wait,
he's very tired, I guess.
does he die at the end or something?
I think he kind of turns into a tree or something.
Yeah, I'm not spoiling David the Gnome.
No,
for
I am.
anybody out there.
I'm pretty sure he turns into a tree at the end of the series or something like that.
Goodbye, David. Your time is done here on this earth.
Yeah, he had a good run.
Did he?
I think so.
What did he do? Just try to bring happiness?
Yeah.
Okay.
Man had his own TV show. That's more than I can say.
Where was that made, you think? It doesn't feel
Europe.
American.
David the Gnome?
Yeah, it's European. I want to say it might be Spanish originally, but I don't.
Okay.
I'm not 100% certain of that.
Okay.
Huh.
I would have said Scandinavian, like somewhere up there.
It is Spanish.
It is Spanish.
Oh,
okay,
nice.
that's
Wow,
what I thought I remembered.
I had no idea.
I mean, it's obviously there's an American dub, and that's the one we all watched. But
that gentle voice of David the Gnome.
yeah.
That's a good pull. David the Gnome was like a weird time slot. You had to.
That was an early morning one, if I remember correctly.
I feel like that was like a 6:30 a.m. or something.
Yeah.
Like you got to get up.
That was what you watched before the noisy cartoons came on.
Yeah, exactly. Do you guys remember there was the arcade block of like Frogger and Donkey Kong?
Yes,
and
I
stuff?
do remember that.
I thought you were about to ask if I remembered the David the Gnome arcade cabinet.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, you put 1 quarter in, you spend several decades just kind of hanging around with your family and friends, and then you turn into a tree.
Turn into a tree and you win.
Yeah.
I think
the
there was
least
a
profitable arcade game in history.
There's a Dirk the Daring Dragon's Lair cartoon. That wasn't. I don't know if that was part of the arcade block. There was a Frogger one.
There's the Pac-Man one.
Pac-Man one was weird.
I don't know. I don't think the Mega Man one was part of that block, but I remember the Mega Man show.
Wait, was the Mega Man one different than
Are you thinking about Captain N?
Captain N?
I thought there was an actual Mega Man animated series. I think that was later, though.
Oh, okay. I just remember Captain N. They should bring Captain N back.
You're right. I think there was, in fact, a dedicated Mega Man cartoon.
There were, in fact, 27 episodes of that dedicated Mega Man. I mean, look, at that time, all those shows got 65 episode orders for the most part, and then they would, like, later on be like, okay, make 13 more of them, or make 12 more of them, or whatever. So that's actually kind of low for a series like that.
65 episodes and 85 frames total.
Mm-hmm.
You want to talk about characters with weirdly gravelly voices? That Captain N Mega Man.
You don't like Mega Man? What's
No,
wrong?
I don't.
Why was he so squat?
He's small. He's small.
Because
don't know.
I think, honestly, no one who you told about Mega Man that was not someone that was playing Mega Man could understand what Mega Man was supposed to be. Like, no one who made those American box arts clearly understood what that character was supposed to look like. Clearly, the people who made these cartoons had no idea that he was supposed to be an adorable robot boy and not a weird little fucking,
Pack-a-day
like
smoker.
cranky fucking gremlin.
Yeah, that Mega Man is a bruiser.
Yeah. That Mega Man is a teamster.
But also,
Yes.
then like Simon Belmont was like an oaf with like a barrel-chested oaf who was like kind of a doofus.
Yeah,
Yes.
and like Link in that fucking Mario show, he sounded like the shittiest fucking teenager from the 80s you've ever heard in your life.
Yeah, it was like a whole mess. And then like was a Mother Brain rolling around with Eggplant Wizard and
Fuck, man.
King Hippo, I think.
Dude, I
Yes.
barely remember that stuff.
I
That
think
sounds
that's how
right.
that went. Yeah.
I never got hard on Captain N. I've seen some
I got
episodes of
hard
it, but
on
I didn't
Captain
watch a
N.
lot of Captain N.
I did because like where else are you getting your video game cartoon stuff, you know?
That was directly in my I want to watch cartoons and I care about video games window.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all there was.
But yeah, I'm not going to say the show was good, but I am going to say they should do a movie of a live action Captain N where he gets sucked back into the TV 40 years later.
All right,
And-
which Chris do you cast?
Let's
Which
see.
Which Chris is our Captain N? Because it has to be a Chris, as we all know.
I'm probably a Pine. Probably a Pine.
Okay.
I would like
Alright.
a Pine. That would be great.
I
I'd say
assumed
Pine.
I thought you were just going to default to Pratt.
I would
No.
also accept an Evans. I would be fine with that.
I think
sure.
a Chris Pine is like does a pretty good like 45-year-old Captain N now, who's like nobody believes him that he was once in video game world.
Are you just
and
Jumanjiing this shit? Is it like
Oh,
Captain N's coming out and it's
maybe.
like, what year is this?
Yeah, no, I'm gonna say he's working. He's got like an office job. He's been in therapy, and like a therapist is like, the video game world is just kind of your construction I forget his name. Is it Nick or something? Nikki or something? It's just your construction, Nikki. I know you had a rough childhood. Your parents were around. They left you in front of the video games all day, and you these were your friends, and you constructed it. And
tell me about your personality, the Game Master. Tell me about them and where they come from. Do you think the Game Master is a representation of your inability to master your own domain?
Last time you talked to me about your mother brain.
Yeah.
Now I know your mother was a PhD, a very respected college professor. Now, do you think mother brain could be a manifestation of your mom's over domineering influence on your childhood?
Do you think you call your father the eggplant wizard because of the incident with the eggplants when you were 6?
Or was it because he was a renowned Italian chef?
Your Uncle King
Hippo.
That
he
was
was
pretty
not
easy.
A boxer.
Did wear a Band-Aid on his belly button though, and then suddenly, Mega Man pops through the TV and is like, "You gotta come back!
It's time to go!
You gotta come back!"
Could I suggest maybe a Channing Tatum for that?
Ooh.
Okay, sure.
As Mega Man, absolutely.
Yeah,
the man has superb comedic chops.
Yes, could work. I mean, it's going to be animated most of the time, but he's going to go back and forth.
I'm actually going to throw...
I thought this was a live-action Captain N that you were
the Captain
putting
N
together.
is live-action. We're cool-worlding this shit.
Okay.
Yeah, when he gets pulled back in, though, it's got to be animated again.
Yeah.
Also, he clearly has to have, a niece or nephew or somebody else who, follows him in and becomes the real hook of... Because it's a kid's thing of the thing. It says Jumanji. You're right.
Yeah, I kind of Jumanji'd this, but it's all right. That's I think that's the only acceptable way to do this.
But the kid comes in, and instead of the zapper, has the super scope, the last good Nintendo blaster that they made, and a Switch on the belt. Captain N had the NES controller on his belt. I think
flinging Joy-Cons like they're ninja stars.
Yeah, maybe promote the new Switch. I don't know what you do there. I'm not sure. They click in or something. Maybe
Nintendo
they're twins.
doesn't need any help promoting the new Switch.
No,
they'll be just fine.
Well, Nintendo. Speaking of Nintendo,
speaking of old Nintendo games.
Nintendo should listen and take my advice and add leaderboards, friends leaderboards to the Nintendo World Championship NES Edition. Now, does it get rid of all the fun by not having the leaderboards? We're here to discuss. Brad Shoemaker, Nintendo World Championships Edition.
How mad are
NES
you?
Edition. Brad just deflated.
I haven't been this frustrated with the game in a long time. Hang on, I'm gonna go get my Switch just to in case I need to refer to anything. Talk amongst yourselves.
Okay. The Nintendo World Championships NES Edition is a game where you play they're trying to liken it to the Nintendo World Championships like you saw in The Wizard, where you're playing little challenges for each game. Some of them are very easy and take 5 seconds, maybe even fewer than 5 seconds. Some of them take longer and it could beat a whole level when you get up to the master challenge or whatever. But the thing that the controversy here is they have weekly leaderboards that are, I believe, worldwide or all encompassing.
I believe so.
I think there's just the one ranking on the weekly championship event,
and that's what you can see. Otherwise, you're just kind of trying to get your S tier time in each challenge, and you can kind of compare, I think, locally against other people on your Switch. Now, Brad. It's kind of a bummer, right?
This thing is such a bummer because it's so close to being amazing. Like this. Okay, let's be clear. This could have been the game of the summer. This could have been the game everybody was playing this summer and having a lot of fun with on social media.
Conceptually, I totally agree.
Just going at each other about one-upping people's times and stuff, or even just sharing there's so much customization you can do on a profile that nobody can see. Unless it comes up in ghost data when you're doing the, survival mode is the one with the ghost data?
Which I think is a fun mode.
That one's neat.
And I do wish it brought in your friends, prioritized your friends' data.
Right. That's maybe that, no, what am I saying? Of course it does. I was going to say, maybe that unlocks, but of course it doesn't. Did you describe survival mode? It's
I did not. No, not yet.
It's like survival mode is like a 3-round 8-way sort of competition, but against ghost data. It's not even live.
Elimination mode.
Yes.
where I forget how many people got eliminated.
It halves the number of players every round. So like it start with 8, the lowest 4 drop after the first round, and then the lowest 2 drop, and then it's 1 against 1 for the last round.
Mm-hmm.
But all you're doing is racing people's ghost data.
Ghost data. So it's not live. It is. And you know, could they do it live? I think they could. I think the technology is there to do it.
Nintendo runs all kinds of massively, like they run 100-player games now.
Yeah, well, I just mean in terms of like you probably just do your local time, and that you don't have to sync to some world clock due to latency. You just do your local run, and then they compare the times, and then people drop out, right?
Yes.
So I think that would be fun to party up and do live stuff. I think the tension would be a little bit more. But I do think that survival mode is probably my favorite competitive mode in the thing, aside from I really kind of just fell off trying to get my own times. I got a couple in the first column or so, like first 3 columns, which are pretty easy to get. Those are like, you know, go get the mushroom or like kill one thing or do whatever. And then I immediately went to the end as soon as I had enough coins, because you have to use coins to unlock. You get coins for doing a challenge and competing the survival mode and stuff to unlock the next challenges along a row, and a row being a game. And I went to like the end to be like, okay, what's the hardest thing they're ever going to ask me to do? And at least in Super Mario Brothers 2, it was you have to complete the entire level as fast as possible. So that was a top of the line. And I was like, man, no, that's like, now you're asking me to play for a couple of minutes here. That's too much.
Now you're actually asking me to be good.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop.
You know, the worst thing, there's a lot of worse things about this. I don't mean to sound too negative about this thing. It's only because it's like 80% of the way to being amazing. You know?
Yes.
It's only because the foundation is here for a really excellent celebration of Nintendo's classic games in a fun, lighthearted, competitive format.
Yeah.
They just didn't do any of the work to make it actually fun and competitive.
It's like a good example of the confusion we used to have at Giant Bomb over, okay, what is the difference between worst game and most disappointing game, right? Mm-hmm. And like this could be a nominee. It's not a bad game, but it could be on a disappointing. It did not meet the expectation.
Yeah, I mean, even just like even at the individual gameplay level, just like at the level of each individual challenge, it's really fun to go in there and see which ones have no room for optimization and which ones are nothing but optimization. You know what I mean? Like the first Zelda one is get the sword.
Yeah.
And like Link can't move on diagonals in the original Zelda. There's like nothing you can do to make that better other than go in a straight line. Like there's like one turn you have to make. If you make that turn at the optimal time, you just get the S rank, right? Like there's no room for skill or variation on that one. But then some of these, like the skill ceiling is insanely high.
Yeah.
And you can't even, like, when you're going into an individual challenge, you can't even, like, watch other people's replays. There's no way to watch how other people do it unless it comes up in that World Championship mode for the week. I'm trying to remember how I got to it. There's a way to watch...
like the winning time?
Oh, I think it's after you complete the World Championship for the week. Did you describe what that is? It's basically 5 challenges strung together.
No, I didn't talk about that.
It's kind of like, it's a weekly, basically. It's like they pick 5 challenges every week and string them together and you do them in a row. And after you do that, then you can watch other people's replays of those. Mm-hmm. But even there, they only surface 1 per challenge. Even there, it's just like, maybe it's the number 1 run, actually, now that I think about it, because all of them are S ranks.
I haven't checked that out yet.
Yeah, so and that's where it gets pretty awesome of like, you know, like the first Super Mario Brothers challenge is just get the mushroom.
Yeah.
But like I was watching the person who got the S rank, who I presumably is number 1 on the leaderboard, which we could say definitively if there was a leaderboard. But anyway, like they do this little reverse hop at the beginning. Like the second they get control after the countdown, they do this little reverse hop, which I'm assuming
gets some speed or something.
Gets you some momentum as you land, so you don't have to, because you know Mario in that game, like coming off the line, Mario is so slow to accelerate.
Yeah,
like just little tricks like that, you know, that you see people pulling to shave 0.3 seconds off or whatever. It's like fascinating. Like that stuff is fascinating, and there's no way to access it.
Well, you do get and again, some of this packaging and the presentation is great, and the thing that they do with the hints, you know, like the Nintendo Power style. Did you ever look at the tips or the hints for a challenge?
No. How do you do that?
In the challenge, certain challenges will have a hints page. It might be only in the bigger challenges, and it opens up like a a fold of a Nintendo, like what looks like a Nintendo Power with the same formatting and pop outs and stuff.
Yeah,
it's
like,
very cool looking.
Like that's awesome. The ability to select your favorite. I think we talked about this. Select your favorite NES game, and they have literally every NES game ever released and every Famicom game. Like it goes deep, you know. Like there's quite a bit of stuff in here that, like I said, is kind of a celebration of the console. I do wish. I don't know. I do wish the spread of games they have challenges from was maybe a little broader or more varied.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like it's, did we run through it? It's Super Mario Brothers, Legend of Zelda, Metroid, Donkey Kong, Kid Icarus, Mario 2, Excitebike, Ice Climber, Balloon Fight, Mario 3, Zelda 2, Mario 2J, Japanese Super Mario Brothers 2, and Kirby's Adventure. So it's like, it's a decent spread of Nintendo first party stuff, but and they would have had to do licensing deals, I guess, to get third party stuff in there. I wish the challenges were maybe there was a little bit more, a few more deep cuts in there. But
so some of the I've seen some arguments on or at least support for no leaderboards, where it's like, at some point you're just not going to be able, like you said, almost with the Zelda Get the Sword, you're just not going to be able to get a better time, and having a leaderboard there is just going to be, at some point it'll just be a fixed time. Like you're not going to be swapping back and forth. But I don't buy it. I'm not buying it.
Those are in the minority though,
Yeah, I'm thinking I would still rather be like, okay, look, I'm okay that I got an A rank as long as I'm at the top of my friends list, and I'll wait until somebody else. I'll put the hours in to get that S if I get knocked down. If Dan Reichert knocks me off of there with an S rank or something like that, right? Otherwise, for me, that's the fun of it. And we're in a situation where we have a lot of people who would be playing this and have a lot of Switch friends who will be in this. I know there's some people who are not going to, and the challenging it just to earn an S rank is enough. But, the stuff that is interesting in this space to me would be seeing what the rest of our peer group is doing with this game.
Yeah, for sure. It's frustrating.
Maybe they'll patch it in. Maybe they'll put online support in it. I don't know. It's a weird thing. I don't know what their reasoning is aside from maybe development cost or
I mean it's only $30 game, but also like this is table stakes for this kind of game at this point. Like this is just what 15 years ago that was the case. Almost 10 years ago. Yeah, you just expect a game like this to have that.
Well, the part where it does pull in ghost data and has some online hooks in it already is like, oh, you've sunk cost into hooking into some kind of server here, and you have this infrastructure. Yeah. Can you not just push data back and forth with the times for your friends? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I'm with you. The leaderboards are the main thing it's missing, but also I can't overstate how valuable it is to be able to just look at ghost data for stuff. Like there's the one of the Mario 2 challenges in last week's World Championship was, I forget which level it is, but basically start as Luigi and go get the key, where Phanto chases you, get the key, and then get out and go unlock the door. That was hard.
Yeah.
So the ghost data I watched for that was fucking mind-blowing. Like, this person never let off of run or moving to the right. Like, they had the run button held down and never stopped moving. They had optimized this run more than I would have thought possible. Like, the way they were skipping jumps, skipping off the like cheap things that come flying at you, like that. Like this person had clearly practiced this challenge 1,000 times, and it was amazing to watch them get through it like that. And even that stuff is really hard to pull. Like I said, you can only watch basically 5 ghost datas a week based on which 5 challenges got pulled into that thing. Like it's just so limited.
But it's also another reason why I think even a friends list or different leaderboard would be good, because I'm not going to compete against that person. I'm not going to win that. That's never going to happen.
Not a chance.
Right. So just show me the global leaderboard then. Even if you limit it to you can only watch ghost data of the top 10 runs or something.
I want to see what you did. I want to see what my friends did.
And your friends, right? But just
friends is like top of the list.
Like something.
Make it opt in and make it so that, I don't know, even make it so that it ties into if you're worried about cost or data or something, make it so that you have to have the Nintendo or the subscription, right? To see it. Like, I don't know. Maybe they'll get there. I wish they would just put an announcement out. But I do think on its face, the bones are there for a really fun package.
Totally. Absolutely. They just will never add to it ever.
Yeah. And like Mike, even with the local competition, because when you start the game, it's basically like single player or local. Like they kind of want this to be a party game. It almost feels like hey, we're going to get on the couch. I don't think I'm going to be doing this with my kids and like pass and play to see who can get the best score. It's just not where I'm going to spend my time.
Like that, and there's so much good personality in this thing. Like that. I mean, that opening text is pretty funny. You know, of like like in the late 80s and early 90s, Nintendo held blah blah blah. Some of you, how do they? You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, you couldn't be there, but now
some of you couldn't be there. Some of you faced an even greater obstacle. You were not yet born.
Yeah, like
the hype tags you can pick from.
Yep,
are like most of them are kind of it's like parents hid my power cord or Nintendo 64 generation or wrote my name on my games. The one I picked was wants a reset button for life.
There you go. Okay.
It's like, man, this is dark.
Yeah.
Like there's like Nintendo tends to do a lot of good writing in their localizations and stuff. Like there's so much to like about this thing, and it's just such a tragedy that it's hamstrung by this like glaring omission.
It's weird. It's a weird one. It seems so obvious. Yeah. It seems so obvious that you kind of want an explanation, you know? Right. It's just like, somebody tell me why.
I have this theory that this game did not have a very long development cycle. Everything about it feels to me like something they cobbled together, and what for Nintendo would be a fairly short amount of time, though I'm not saying they did this in like a month or anything. But I have to imagine they just wanted something very bare bones and streamlined that would just be that thing, and that seems like it.
I mean, they're definitely trying to pad a release schedule this year.
Yeah.
So
maybe the next whatever the next successor to the Switch, when this gets brought over there, it'll have it. That's their upsell.
Hope springs eternal. I'll tell you the last thing that made me laugh before we move on, just because we've been streaming so much Zelda 2. Remember those gigantic blobs that just fall from the ceiling out of nowhere on you? Yeah. Like I was going through, you pick player icons that are just sprites from the different games. Like in a sea of sprites from that game that cost like 100 to 200 coins, I see the silhouette for that giant blob. It costs 1,000. Like,
okay.
I just think it's really funny.
That's a lot.
Like, hey, this sprite is way bigger than all these other sprites, so it costs 10 times more.
That could get you like near the end of a whole row of a game.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Let's take a quick break. We have a decent amount of games here to get through. We'll take a break though. We'll come back. We'll pick up with some more games in just a moment. And we are back. And if you're looking for some form of competition, let's say a rivalry, Marvel Rivals is in beta. And Alex, you played some of this Marvel Rivals beta.
Yes, I have been playing the PS5 version of the Marvel Rivals beta. This is Marvel Overwatch. I don't say that. Yeah. I don't say this to be flip or dismissive in any way. It is very clearly the blueprint they have struck out with on this thing. And the big difference is it's third person, it's not first person, but it is a straight up hero shooter. And at least in the modes that they have shown in this beta so far, it is basically original Overwatch, like get the thing to the point, capture the point. It is fucking 6v6 Overwatch ass action.
I think I'm kind of surprised they actually ran with the original mode. Mm-hmm. Like the hero roles is one thing, but to literally just make the game type also exactly what Overwatch launched with is kind of bold.
It's pretty much those modes. And so it's, I don't want to say like maybe 16 heroes-ish are available right now. I don't know how many they are planning, but, it's a lot of the usual people you would expect, like Spider-Man, the Punisher, Hulk, Iron Man, Doctor Strange, etc. Most of the people from the movies you would expect are there, and a handful of other ones that are like smaller characters. But they all immediately map to some Overwatch character or another. Like Hulk is Diva, like fucking Punisher is Soldier 76.
That makes sense. Hulk is Diva, and I guess the tanky
because
kind
you turn into Bruce Banner
when
when you de-Hulk, and then you run around with a little pistol like Diva does.
Okay.
Yeah, that was my first question. Is like who maps to who? Like I'm looking at the heroes on their sites, but they just give kind of give descriptions. I almost just wish they came out and said it. Here's who this plays like.
Yeah. If you're familiar with.
They aren't all exactly alike, but they are all very much in that archetype. Like I think Star-Lord is basically the weird Reaper dude. Like there's a lot of stuff in there that feels very directly compared to it. And the main thing about this is two things.
Okay.
One, Punisher is very OP. I know because I'm doing really well with that character and I shouldn't be. 2, this game's going to make $1 billion.
I don't know if you saw some of the numbers. It did very well in its beta.
I'm not surprised because here's the thing. All this game had to do was be good enough. It had to do the Overwatch thing well enough to justify aping it so closely and, basically just, hey, check it out. Here's these Marvel heroes you love playing a game you used to love. And they're hitting that bar. Like, they are nailing that particular bar. Nothing about the action is overly exciting. None of it is amazingly different or
groundbreaking.
Particularly groundbreaking or even super novel, but it works. And the matches feel like old Overwatch, where it really is about keeping your team together, strategizing, making sure people don't, split off and go do random shit. It's not just deathmatch action. You are trying to, meet an objective. And I feel like they are clearing what is not an exceedingly high bar, but they are clearing it.
So I should qualify what I said here. When I say it did well, the
a lot of
stories
people
I
are
saw,
playing it.
well, the story I saw was basing it relative to the Concord numbers, which I think did
That's unfair.
particularly poorly on Steam. I don't know if the beta, barrier to entry was similar there, but I think Concord was doing like 2,500 players on Steam, and this did over 50,000.
Yeah,
I believe you had to pre-order the game on Steam to get it, or to get into that beta.
So to
if
pay
I'm not
money,
mistaken.
you had to pay money to get into that.
Okay.
And this one, you had to sign up for Marvel.
I think it was basically just a sign up, and not everybody who signed up got codes, but I think it was just sign up, and you might get picked for this. So I think that's even the barrier to entry was quite different.
Yeah, and that's on apple to apples if you're doing a paid one versus a free game. So Alex, in terms of gameplay, can I assume that you have like 2 to 3 abilities, and
Yes.
do you have an ultimate, like a super?
There is an ultimate, and each one's different. Again, I've mainly been playing Punisher because I've just been absolutely shredding what I can only assume are children playing this beta over and over again with him. But his special is like he just gets like a big fucking mech machine gun thing on both his arms, and he just super fires. There's they all have ones that very much map to the powers. Like Hulk's is turning into an ultimate Hulk, which is just a much stronger version of Hulk.
Okay.
I haven't tried them all out yet. Like I think Magneto's is like pulling in some giant magnet field that just like obliterates people. And the abilities all, they all have I would say between 2 and 3 regular abilities, and then some of them also have passive abilities. Like Punisher can see enemies that he has seen, but then go behind walls. He can still see them for a little bit as they move around behind the wall.
I'm looking at their site now, and I don't expect you to have this memorized, but I am curious what they're calling a duelist, a vanguard. I'm trying to go through their classes here.
It's similar class types. Like a duelist is basically a damage dealer.
Like an assault?
Yeah, Vanguard I think is more like, shield defense.
And is a strategist support?
I think so.
Okay. Are there healers? Are there dedicated healers?
There are, like, some of the wizardy characters have healing abilities. Like, Mantis has a bunch of healing abilities and stuff. And I think maybe Doctor Strange does too, though I have not messed with him yet.
Adam Warlock?
Adam Warlock is a resurrecting character, so he basically is closest to mercy, and he can actually bring enemy or your teammates back in a limited capacity when they die.
Okay, look, I know this is a video game.
Yeah.
I know it's supposed to be balanced, but like, come on, man. It's the Hulk. Can't stop the Hulk. The Hulk just gets stronger every time he gets hurt.
Didn't the Hulk get totally fucking jobbed out by Thanos in those movies?
What? The movies don't count. Hulk is the ultimate.
Okay, well, if you're counting the comic books, Hulk has been defeated many times, Vinny.
No, Hulk's never defeated. They had to like launch the Hulk into space, man.
And then a bunch of space Hulks started coming around, and those guys got defeated too at various points.
Space Hulk.
Hulk destroyed the universe. Okay, Hulk is the ultimate.
There's a lot of Hulk action going on.
Also, Adam Warlock's supposed to be pretty powerful, right? But
he's one of those like space people. Like those people are. I mean, he's not a celestial, but he's pretty powerful.
How do they balance? I'm kidding. All kidding aside, because really you're supposed to be balanced here. But like, you have a lot of flying characters. You have a lot of characters that have different mobility. How are they balancing all that stuff out?
I mean, it's pretty much what you expect. The flying characters, they don't have a ton of health, but they are a lot more nimble, so it is harder to hit them.
Can they
Again,
stay in the air indefinitely, or is it timed?
some of them can stay in the air for pretty long periods of time. Most of them have to hit the ground eventually, from what I can tell. But the main thing is, and when I say Punisher is OP, I'm just saying that, like, I think the balance is maybe not 100% there yet, because it does feel like there are certain characters. Punisher's one, Venom's another one that I feel like is maybe a little overpowered. Because those seem like the ones where people who know what they're doing are just fucking wrecking shop right now.
Okay. I am looking at their list of people now. Who is Penny Parker? Is that
She's the robot spider person, the one with the Japanese anime robot spider.
Awesome.
Which I would have thought would have been the diva, but I don't think she comes out of the robot is the thing. I think she stays in the robot.
It is interesting. Their list of characters here does feel very MCU. You know, like, okay, here are the characters. Namor's in here, Star-Lord, Scarlet Witch.
There's a couple in there that I think have not been in the movies, but I'm not 100% certain.
Yeah, Magic with a K. I don't know who that is.
Magic factors very heavily into Midnight Suns, if you played that. She's the one that opens the portals for everybody. She's the Russian girl. Okay. Yeah. And she factors in some other stuff as well. I think she's X-Men related primarily, so that's probably why you haven't seen her in the movies.
Okay. Luna Snow?
She's the one I don't know at all.
Okay,
I think she's a fairly newish character in the Marvel universe.
I'm just trying to make sure that's not a created for this game.
No, I don't think they created any new characters for this.
Luna Snow, I just looked her up. Looks like she might have started. Yeah, 2019, pretty new.
Okay, has Namor been in the MCU?
Yes, he was in the most recent Black Panther movie.
Okay.
Because Atlantis was like warring with Wakanda because of various people thinking one faction was like trying to attack the other, and it was, it doesn't matter. Point is, Namor was there.
All right. Okay. Again, not the question. You could just say, Vinny, shut up. But like, is there any kind of pretense for why this is happening here?
Not
is there a story?
Not that's in the beta, from what I can tell. There are like little introductions where they kind of say, you got to go get the Mjolnir thing to the other thing. And you're like, okay, great. And I'm going to say, I don't know if it is that voice actress, but the narrator girl really sounds like the diva voice actress to an alarming degree. But if there is cutscene work or story work or any sort of real preamble that sets up why any of this is happening, they did not include it in the beta matches so far.
It sounds like some... they are saying time stream entanglement. So
sure,
there you go. Yeah, multiverse.
Fucking why not?
Yeah, why not? So from what you've played of it, delivering on what it's putting out there,
more or less. Like I don't think this game is amazing by any stretch. I think it's a pretty cromulent one of these, and it really is resting very hard on its license to do a lot of the other work of making it appealing. And unfortunately, I think that's going to work very well because it's definitely Marvel-y in the ways that you want it to be, and it's just Overwatch-y enough to make it, one, very readable to anyone who has ever played that game, and two, not make it exceedingly difficult for people to just sort of jump in and do what they're going to do. I think it just has enough of the juice to probably do very well when it comes out.
Were you able to?
I bet you're right.
Yeah, I agree. Were you able to get into any of the team up stuff with the groups you were playing with?
Yeah, so that is actually the one novel thing it has, is the sort of like character like alliances, like where it's like certain characters blend well together and they get little bonuses because of it. So like I said, I've mostly been playing Punisher, and the one character that does blend well with him that keeps coming up in my team builds is Rocket Raccoon, because he is also a guns character but also is an engineer basically and can make your guns better. So when you're like alongside him and he's sort of boosting you up, you can really do some damage when he's around.
Even if is it like a time thing or just
sometimes it's bonus, like sometimes it's pivoting off one of his special abilities. Sometimes there's I think there is a little bit of a passive bonus that's always there though.
Interesting. That is kind of interesting. And anything with the destructible terrain that you saw that was interesting?
It's pretty destructible. I wouldn't say it looks great.
Okay.
Like some of that destructible stuff looks a little chintzy, but it does break apart, and some of those environments do kind of like obliterate as you go along. But look, the game's art design really feels like they just kind of stole Overwatch concept art and said, well, now put a layer of Marvel over it.
I'm looking at their site. I kind of like their illustrations here of the characters.
No, the character illustrations look really good. It's the environments, which just straight up look like Overwatch maps.
I was going to ask who the developer of this is, but this just says NetEase Games.
Yeah, it's NetEase. I don't know who the internal developer is that's making it.
All right. Well, look, I think it's superhero Overwatch is a pretty easy thing to.
It's the most underhand toss way you could do one of
totally.
these if you're going to do it. It's why I feel bad for Concord, because it kind of feels like every choice they made is going to make it infinitely harder on themselves to be successful.
Yeah, when you're doing your kind of off-brand.
Yeah. And it's not like the game
Guardians.
is bad. It's just that I think it has way more barriers to clear to get people interested in it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they do have the advantage of launching first. I don't think we know when Marvel Rivals is coming out.
I think it's this year, though.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen a date. Do you know anything else about the beta? Is it closing down?
I think it's a
or is it
week.
done? Okay.
Yeah.
Marvel Rivals. Also, Marvel Rivals, I assume, is free to play. And
that is my understanding.
Concord again charging for it. So we'll see. We'll see how these things go. NetEase. Will they have a hit? NetEase.
Yeah, those
NetEase
scrappy
finally
upstarts.
have a game.
Yeah, it's finally. Wow. All right, moving on from Marvel Rivals. That's the beta for Marvel Rivals. I'm going to talk a little bit about Flintlock.
Mm-hmm.
The Souls Light.
Souls Light.
Maybe more souls than I was ready for in Flintlock, because it's less the action game I thought and more the animation priority over committing game that I think it actually is. Now it definitely has a lot of, it's a third person action adventure game. It is has a lot of mobility stuff in it. I played a little bit more since we streamed it earlier this week, because basically my 20,000 foot view is it's got this kind of mid 2000s B game quality to it that you don't really see too much anymore.
Okay, sure.
But I kind of like it, and I was kind of digging it. But it's not straight action. You're not mashing to kill enemies. You can't cancel out of your swing to get into a block, if that makes sense. And it's a very big block and parry game. Don't get hit. You can go down incredibly quickly if you're not careful. And you lose your upgrade currency in a Souls-like way where you have to go recover it. If you don't get there, then you will lose it. They call it reputation in Flintlock. So yeah, it took me a while to realize, like, oh no, I can't cancel out of a swing if I overcommit to then block. And also hitting this character doesn't put them into some kind of stun animation right away. So if you swing and that other enemy is swinging at you, you might just die. You have to be careful. You have to learn attack patterns. You kind of, what I've been doing so far is kind of going through. The map has branching points. It's not necessarily what I've played. I wouldn't classify as open world, but you can kind of explore this map in different areas where you're like, I'm going to go right here and go into this cavern. I'm going to go left here and go see what's in here. Oh, this area is really hard. I'm going to come back here at another point and check it out. And you are upgrading your weapons. You have your melee weapon, and you have your, at least where I'm at now, pistol, which you get 3 shots with. Where I'm at, I'm sure you can upgrade it at some point, or I assume you can. And when you fire off your 3 shots with your pistol, you recharge those shots by doing melee attacks on an enemy. You also have this minor god with you that can do other support attacks, like tie up an enemy basically, or do crowd control for you, or make them
fox god.
Yeah, exactly. Enki, I think it is. And that character you kind of control can send at the one ability they have is it can, if you spend some of its ability points, can make an enemy hover in the air for a while, right? And that can be good for crowd control, or it would just be good to wail on that enemy. It doesn't work on all enemies, but it's good when it does. You get a sniper rifle. I got that not too far into the playthrough. That has limited number of shots in it. That can do long range.
Is it a gear game in the way that a Souls game is? Like, are you finding a lot of gear to equip, or is it more just like, okay, these are the weapons, you're going to find them in the order we give them to you, like that's what you're going to have for the game?
So the only thing I've found so far, aside from the sniper rifle, which feels like it's a narrative piece of gear that you get, is I got a different axe. I got an axe that's imbued with fire. So in that sense, yes, there is loot to get and gear to get, and then there's an upgrade mechanic for your weapons. You're getting materials in the world to upgrade the stats on your weapon. I just don't know how deep that goes.
Yeah,
it's not like doesn't feel like I'm getting randomized gear every encounter. This was one piece of gear.
I guess the amount that they've harped on the term roguelite should be pretty instructive here. That probably or not roguelite, Souls-lite, sorry. Like all the Souls elements are probably a little bit reduced or simplified in one way or another.
Yeah, probably but really the main thrust of it is you are punished for poor play. And that's I feel like that's the Souls part that really comes through. If you get aggressive or you don't know what you're doing or you're rushing through an encounter, you can be punished pretty severely and like a Souls game, lose a bunch of upgrade material or currency. And that's happened to me numerous times where I've gotten pretty deep into a level, died, and then was like, oh, I just want to... Because you have the traversal, so it makes you feel like you could just burst through everyone and be like, I'm just going to race through and go get my stuff. And then I paid for it and lost 1,000 or so upgrade currency, which at this point in the game still feels like a lot.
Yeah, I was going to ask how big a deal that traversal stuff is. Like a lot of what they showed in the trailers looked like it was sort of just, these are the grapple points we've gotten. They're not grapple points, but you know what I mean? The aerial triangles or whatever.
Grapple points are pretty much, what
these are the points we've defined, just aim the camera at it and you're just going to port to it. Like, is there any more, I don't know, manual control or ability to explore with those, or are those just kind of point A to B?
So where I'm at, I have a double jump and an air dash, and that's pretty early on. They give those to you. The stuff you're talking about with the grapple points kind of feel like a Souls shortcut, because you kind of you get through some of the level and then you can touch an item or totem and those points kind of activate, and it feels like, oh, okay, this is how I can get back here fairly quickly if I'm at this lodestone, which was what they call their bonfires, their checkpoints. So those mostly feel like that, but as you are traversing in those, if you want to, you can try and jump off in a weird spot to try and get to a secret area or something like that. You can interrupt it. It's not, you do have some manual control in that process. I assume there are more abilities, traversal abilities I'll get. I'm very early on still, only a couple hours in. But yeah, I don't know, something about the controls, and this is hard going back and forth between Erd Tree and something like this. It's different enough where I feel like I haven't clicked with it yet. And I think it's part of the block mechanic. You can block, and if you parry right, you kind of put the other character into a stun state where you can do heavy damage. But if they have a unblockable attack, you want to use your gun very quickly. And I found the animation on my character, it's just not fast enough, or my reflexes aren't fast enough to be ready to block and then be like, oh shit, unblockable attack, gun. And usually I'm just getting hit. And that's where I think learning the attacks is really a more Souls-like thing than I was expecting. Be like, oh, you don't just run in, maybe at my skill level, don't just run in and expect to ace this character without ever seeing it before.
Right.
Which in a Devil May Cry or just an action game where you can cancel out of stuff, you're quick, you're quick on the block and you can get that parry off quick. But her strikes and stuff are pretty slow, so you have to be careful there. Pretty generous dodge, and again, this might sound very technical, but I'm sure it makes sense to all of you that are listening. Still learning where the kind of iframes are in the dodge and what you can get away with, right? Oh, am I rolling into attacks? Am I dodging into attacks? Am I trying to get behind people? And I'm still learning that and paying for not knowing what's going on there. Story-wise, I really don't know what's going on. I don't know. It's it was fairly straightforward
from what I saw you play, but at the same time, it feels like it is just kind of bouncing around its own narrative in a way in the early goings, where it feels like you don't get a great handle on what they're trying to convey.
Yeah, I think I just need to go back and pay more attention. I think that's on me. It's definitely something with the gods, and the gods suck, and it's causing a lot of strife and badness. But we were live streaming it, and I don't think I was paying the most attention, so I need to go back in and
I was paying attention.
Okay.
Some of it was kind of nonsense.
But yeah, Flintlock seems pretty cool. I'm playing it on Game Pass, so played it on the PC. The performance there didn't seem all that great, at least on the settings I had it set to, which were default.
People in the chat were saying that the console versions are just generally a lot more stable than the PC version.
I switched over to the Xbox version and it brought my save over, thankfully, so it is cross save there. Was expected it but wasn't certain. Yeah. And then did play fine there on performance mode on the console. So I could probably tune it on the PC, but played fine on the console.
I think it just needs a patch at this point, probably.
Yeah, and I'll just play it on the console for now. It plays fine there. Yeah, so Flintlock, Siege of Dawn. It's $40 if you don't have Game Pass. It's,
that probably gives you some idea of the scope of it.
Yeah, seems okay, but like I said a couple of times, it does feel like it is, and not as a pejorative, but like a little B game-esque where everything's not as polished as you want it to be, or things don't kind of play the way you'd expect it maybe to play in a more polished version of a game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you see a pile of crates, you expect that pile of crates
to break. Yes,
to break. And not to swing and not even bounce your weapon off.
I do feel like that is not an unreasonable thing to ask.
Or if it's a platform to jump on, then it needs to swing your sword off.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very silly thing, but it feels weird. That is out now. Flintlock: The Siege of Dawn. Again, it's on Game Pass if you so desire. The other one quickly here I'll mention because it was a part of the other stream we did was Dungeons of Hinterberg, which has a really charming setup and kind of premise, which is basically dungeon crawling has become a tourist thing in this place of Austria, in this particular spot in Austria, Hinterberg, and people get away. Some portals have opened up, magic has happened here, and they basically have packages to go kill some kobolds and other things in this kind of Disney World version of Hinterberg, where you're like
straight up dungeon crawling adventure tourism.
Yeah, which is like kind of a weird thing, and I think the character progression here is you're kind of trying to get away from some stuff and some self-discovery through this adventure tourism, and things are seeming to go a little awry.
Askew.
Yeah, maybe they don't fully understand what they've tapped into here.
When you said character progression, I'm looking at footage of you playing it. Like, I thought you meant these stats for like renown and amusement.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
and relaxation. That it looks like you're trying to get up.
I meant more of the narrative progression.
Right. But what is that stuff about though?
The actual stats.
Yeah, like is that? I mean, that those sound like they're related to somebody on vacation or.
I'm not 100% sure. The game, I did not play this after we did the stream, so the game did not go too much into the hardcore stat building of it. It was mostly about the setup, the premise, and bashing things with your sword or using your magic to solve puzzles. And we got into a bit of both, some combat in these combat arenas, and then also some cart switching, track switching stuff going on with the magic in the two spells we learned. I liked it, but I felt I was struggling against some of the controls on what I was doing. And granted, my setup was getting weird, and that's on me again. It was like pulling in some of the Steam overlay control stuff while I was trying to play from the Microsoft store. Mm-hmm. So like when I'd click in a stick, it would bring in the Steam overlay keyboard, which was annoying until I closed out Steam. I switched over to mouse and keyboard, which also played fine. So yeah, I will probably go back to this to check it out because I thought the premise was really charming. The gameplay didn't necessarily do it for me in the session I had with it on the live stream, but we all know playing stuff on a live stream isn't indicative of a final quality of a game.
Not always, no.
Not always.
What are you talking about?
It's the perfect way to play. That's Dungeons of Hinterberg, and that's a $30 game, but it's also on Game Pass, again, if you have Game Pass. And that's on the Xbox and on the PC. Flintlock also on the PlayStation, though I have no idea how it plays on PlayStation 5. All right, Brad. Kunitsu-Gami. I will never get it right the first try.
Kunitsu-Gami.
Path of the Goddess. Yeah, Kurtzagoth. You played some more, and I feel like I'm not going to say you're falling in love, but I feel like
I'm way into this game. Like I'm not saying it's going to end up this way, but I did think back to the thing I said last week, which again was not like a critical comment, but I said I was just trying to manage expectations, and I was like, it's probably not going to be anybody's game of the year, but it's quite cool. like, again, I don't think it's going to be my game of the year, but I do keep thinking back to that comment going like, man, the more I play this, the more impressed I am with it. Like, I really fucking like this game.
That's cool. Anything new you've discovered in your playing?
Yes, like that's the thing is that I have not yet hit a level, because it's, like I said, it's broken up into like little villages. You're kind of going and purging each village. I have not hit a new village yet where they have not wheeled out some like significantly new twist.
Okay.
Or mechanic. And it's not just the new character classes, because you are getting more of those that you can assign out to your villagers, but it's like, it'll be like, okay, this one is in a cavern and like in a cave that's super dark, and you and your villagers can only hit the enemies in the light, and there are lanterns scattered around, but none of them are lit, and you can't light them yourself. You have to assign your villagers to go run over and light them.
Okay.
So there's like management there. I hit a level where the lady Yoshido, the kind of goddess lady that you're guiding,
the one that follows the path, yeah,
she becomes like possessed by this thing that turns you into just a little disembodied spirit. And the upshot is you don't have your character to fight with on that level.
Oh,
so it's just the villagers that you're managing doing all the fighting.
Oh,
so that's like a big twist, and you have to. And the night never ends on that mission. Like, you're just in permanent night until you have to collect enough crystals to go like purge the possession from her. And that just ends the level, but like that's a pretty significant twist. God, let's see where I'm at now. Like, now they're starting to, they're like these gates. It's a big gate, like Torii Gate is what they call it, is where the monsters emanate from. But now they're getting to the point where there are multiple of those gates on the map, and which ones are active for each day-night cycle changes. So it's like, okay, this first day, like monsters are coming from like front and left, and then a night, then I go through a day-night cycle and like, oh shit, now that gate turned off and this other one over to the right turned on,
And I assume you're getting more and more upgrades to compensate for the...
Yes, there's like tons, every villager class has upgrades. You have all kinds of upgrades like I talked about last week. Like I've gotten a sumo wrestler now who does like big AoE stuff and like aggroes enemies to him. The monsters I'm fighting are getting way bigger and harder. I'm trying to think what else. Like, they've introduced a height mechanic now where there are these like platforms that ranged enemy or ranged villagers can be assigned to get like bigger AoE and stuff like that.
Just one level of verticality, just like
so far.
And so, like you mentioned last time, even within the characters you had, being able to get new abilities, like for the guy to chase down other guy. Have you been finding those trees to be pretty deep? Or?
The resources to buy those upgrades come so slowly that I haven't gotten a lot of this. So what I've seen so far, each class has 6 levels of upgrade, and it's generally like more health, better attack, and then the third one is like, okay, new ability.
Okay.
So like for the woodcutter, it was now they can chase down enemies. For the archers, it was like now they shoot fire arrows. I'm trying to remember what
pretty big deal.
Sumo wrestler was. Did I talk about the thief last week? I'm starting to get.
I don't think so.
Remember,
the thief is not a fighting class at all. What the thief can do is like dig up buried treasure chests and find resources for you during the day phase, like the management phase. But then the thief like runs and hides at night, so you're basically down a villager who can fight at night.
Oh, I see.
But you're potentially getting more resources during the day. But even those buried treasure chests, you have to find yourself and assign the thief to go dig them up for you.
Oh, how is it marked? Like, does it vibrate or?
You just see him poking out of the ground. But like the game really makes you search for stuff. So like, I guess that's the last thing I would say is that when I first started playing this, that day phase where you're just running around like purging corruption and like assigning stuff around, I was like, this kind of, I guess I get what they're going for, but it kind of seems like busy work, or it just kind of seems like it might be a little tedious. Like, it has stopped being tedious and it has turned into this like really intense time management exercise and test of your multitasking, because at the point I'm at now, you absolutely do not have time to do everything during the first day before the enemies start pouring out, and they turn all that stuff off at night. To be clear, you can't rescue more villagers or build more defenses or do any of the daytime stuff as soon as night hits. So you're just in this like mad scramble now. Like, I've got to find every villager so I can turn them into my minions. Like, I've got to purge corruption to get crystals to like move the lady along and like blah, blah, blah. You have a carpenter. There's all these static defenses like gates. And like, now there are these like, I don't forget what they call them, but these like little power node things where if you put a villager in their sphere, like they get more power and move faster type stuff. It was like
charge them up during the day.
So like you have to manage the carpenter's time as you're having him rebuild all the defenses. You're having to go find all the people. there's like obstacles you have to assign villagers to like there's rubble here. You got to clear this rubble to get to the last area of this thing to get the last villager or whatever. Like it's turned into like a mad scramble now. Every time I hit a new level of like, oh my God, I don't have time to do everything.
But the level, but it's fixed, right? So like you can restart and have a better idea of where stuff is.
It's a little cheesy, but I actually did that very thing for the first time this morning.
Okay.
It was just like, okay, I really screwed this one up.
Okay.
Like I don't even have all the villagers before the enemies are pouring out, and I haven't assigned any roles yet, so I just started over and then did a much better job of finding stuff the second time. But like, there's just a ton of variety to it, and it's getting harder, which is also good because I felt like it was not much of a challenge for the first few levels.
That's interesting.
I've seen people say it gets extremely hard later. It's like super my kind of game, and they just keep laying on more interesting stuff. I'm way into it.
Do you feel like you could get yourself in a bad situation if you're progressing and barely making it through and not have enough resources to get through a thing? Or does it check you in a way that makes sure you have not squandered or put your points into a bad way? You know what I mean?
So you can refund the skill trees on the villager classes anytime you want.
Okay.
So you could just respec your villagers, absolutely.
But you are bringing your villagers into the next level, or does it give you
it's new
every time?
Yeah, it's new villagers every level. That's one of the tasks when you first start purging during the day is you have to find all the villagers that are trapped and free them.
Okay, so it's not additional villagers. It's villagers.
It's like, okay, this first one has 5 villagers, the next one has 6. Like this one later has, I'm up to like, I think 8 is the most I've seen on a level, but they're all.
I see. Okay.
God, we don't need to talk about this game forever, but I just remembered they've now rolled out a thing where the villagers have like affinities, which are represented by animals. So it's like the sumo wrestler can only like turtle villagers can become a sumo wrestler.
Oh, weird.
Like the only ones I've seen are like turtle and fish, I think, right now. And it's like, okay, anybody can be a woodcutter because like the woodcutter does like fish and turtle.
I see. It's almost like a population cap style thing.
Kind of,
like
but
you can't have all sumo wrestlers.
Right, so that means you can only have like say one sumo wrestler per.
I see.
Per level. I haven't seen this yet, but I've also read that once I talked about before, when you beat a level, then you go back and like rebuild it, like you repair the village. Apparently I think the villagers have affinities in there too eventually. It's like, oh, this person is like more industrious than this other one. Or like you have to kind of figure out who to assign to what. Like it's just a big old management sim.
But you're not bringing those villagers, like you said, you're not bringing those villagers forward. They're
all villagers are attached to the village they're in.
That sounds cool. I still want to get to it.
It's rad, man. I really, the more I play it, the more I like it.
I was gonna fire it up, but then I went and I played through more of a ranger.
Yeah, that was my quandary. I really wanted to start a ranger, but I had family here, so I was like, all right, I don't have a lot of time. Should I start a ranger, or I just chose to get more into the other?
So this is a ranger, ARRANGER, not a ranger.
Mm-hmm.
A ranger, a role-puzzling adventure.
Yeah.
We talked about this with the demo that had come out, and Brad, I think you saw this at Summer Game Fest as well.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's the one where it's like kind of tile-based, where you're sliding around tiles to move objects and to solve puzzles. It's got a really charming presentation. The writing is fun. The characters are fun. And I've hit a decent amount of puzzles now where, you're bending your noodle, man. You're using it. I've gotten past where I did in the demo, so I've gotten out of town and I've started exploring other areas. It's pretty tongue-in-cheek with its humor. I reached a village where nobody's talking to each other anymore because they all live inside, and they use mechanical birds to transmit their messages to each other. And you are there to try. Well, no, I kind of stopped using mechanical bird after a while.
Sounds like a personal problem.
And I think the humor carries it quite a bit. Mm-hmm. And the puzzle is obviously sliding things around. Though, did get a raft that just made me move. Moved. I just moved. Yeah, in certain areas with water. So yeah, I think it's really great. I mean, there's not really much more to say about it because once you see the mechanic, you kind of know what the game is. I'm going to keep going with it to see where it ends up. But it is quirky enough where I feel like it is more than just the mechanic. There's some good writing there and some genuinely silly stuff going on.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to playing the full thing of that. Is the overworld, like, does it open up to the point that you feel like you can like explore and find different stuff, or is it pretty linear of like, okay, this is the next village you need to go to, that's kind of the only place you can go?
It's mostly feels pretty linear so far, though there are some seems like optional dungeons to go explore if you really want to fry your brain. But I never felt like I'm really going too far off a beaten path or the main path. You're kind of getting, at least where I'm at in the game, which is getting to the next big village with some optional stuff on the way.
Yeah, is there much of like an upgrade mechanic for the character? Like the mechanics are so rigid that it feels like there's not a lot you could do to make the character more powerful, quote unquote.
So I haven't seen that. I've only seen new environmental stuff that adds a twist on the sliding stuff around. You know, like when you start off, you're kind of trying to work around what they call the static, things that just don't slide around and move. And then you kind of get into the combat, which is moving a sword around on a tile and stuff like that. So that kind of escalation of, oh, this is a weird new mechanic of, I'm going to have to figure out how to work around this with the sliding puzzle stuff or turn things on and off. Or there was a really interesting one where these lasers, you have to trigger and block them or not block them to make access points appear on the level. It's kind of hard to explain, but you're basically getting new environmental mechanics that you use with your similar sliding tile mechanic. I don't have a price for it yet because it's not officially out until the time of this recording tomorrow, but it is available, I think, on pretty much everything but not Xbox. So PS5, Switch, PC, and then iOS as well, and Android. Did not see an Xbox SKU, as they say, but I could be wrong on that. Just not seeing it. I can triple check here.
Yeah, this seems like it'd be a great iPad game, actually.
Yeah, it's very slidey.
It's literally just swipe two directions is kind of the whole control.
Yeah, I don't know how long it is either. You know, it's one of those things that it could wear it out its welcome if it goes too long. But so far, I've really enjoyed it, and I again like the narrative stuff in it, which I'm always a fan of, the writing in it. So again, I should also mention it's got a Netflix logo on it, so I don't know what that means at this point. What a Netflix published game means. Do you get it as part of your subscription? Do they just publish games? I'm sorry, I just don't participate.
They definitely publish games. I don't know what the situation is with.
I mean, there was a period there where sometimes Netflix stuff would only appear within a certain subscription thing, but I also think they have other games that you can get outside that subscription, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I guess that's what it is. It's not like a situation with like Into the Breach and stuff like that where you have to have a Netflix subscription to play it, obviously, but.
Yeah, because on their platforms, on their official page, it's got Netflix listed as one of the platforms on it, but when you click on it, it just goes to like a 404 page not found. So I'm not sure exactly. Well, the game's not out yet, so
I know. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Yes, but also not great. All right, that's Arranger, a role puzzling adventure. I like it a lot so far. Well, I'm going to keep going with that one. I might keep going with Flintlock as well. I'll probably dip back into Dungeons of Hinterberg, but I do want to check out Kunitsu-Gami and see how that, see if I like it, you know?
You should check it out. I haven't had like a good mechanics game in a long time, you know, something that just really like pushes you. Yeah. And has a lot of depth to it, so it's nice
Before we go here, I'll mention, because I mentioned it last time, I did try the multiplayer in Flock to see what that's about. And that's just a shared world, basically. It seems like you kind of just join in. I was able to finally figure out how to join with my daughter locally, but it just kind of will put you into what feels like a random shared world where you can choose to participate with people or not. You can just do your own thing or not. You bring in your flock and your level, and you know, if you want to do your own thing, but it's more about being in the world together than it feels like having to participate together. So that's what Flock seemed like. It's a chill game, man. Everybody's
just flocking together.
Everybody's just flocking.
Just get in there and flock.
go and identify these weird looking creatures and catch them and make the clouds go down.
Yeah, that sounds appealing. I need to play some of that too.
It's a chill out game.
Some chill out game time would be good.
Yeah, it really is just a charming chill out game. All right, I think that's going to do it for our games we got to this week.
There's a lot of stuff coming out.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, we are nearing Madden time, which, as we all know, is the entry gate for all video games.
Like, first half of July was pretty dry, and at least for what we had earmarked to check out.
Yeah.
And then, like, everything is all coming out in the space of, like, a week or two. Like, SteamWorld Heist is almost out.
Yeah, August. We just did our Planorama. We recorded it. That'll be up next week. But, yeah, stuff is coming out. And Signy, all guns blazing.
Mm-hmm.
That's spoiler.
that's early August.
Potentially, Konami has the most exciting release of August.
I don't know if I don't know if I share that opinion, but
I maybe do.
That looks awesome.
It does look cool. Look, in a month with Tactical Breach Wizards and
Jonathan Madden.
And thank goodness you're here. World of Goo 2, Volgar the Viking.
There's some stuff.
And a Star Wars game. There's some stuff in there. All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about stuff in terms of news. So stick around. And we are back. And we got some news here. We'll start off not some great news here. Some pretty bad news, actually. So, Humble Games.
Yes.
They have published quite a bit of things over the last few years. I was looking through their list after we got this story that we'll get to in a second. But Unpacking, Void Bastards, Superland. I don't know if you guys remember that.
I do.
Was like, yeah.
Oh God, I just pulled up their full games list.
It's surprisingly diverse.
Because the first one you get to is like a condensed list, but once I loaded the full one, I'm like, damn, man, this is like 3 or 4 dozen games.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've had a Signalis.
And before that,
Wizard of Legend, Slay the Spire.
Yeah. But it's also worth noting, again, Humble's origins very much were as a charity, bundle drive kind of thing. Like the entire company basically seemed to exist to, do charitable functions around video games. And then they got into publishing, and then they got bought by Ziff Davis.
So we're talking about Humble Games here, Brad. Why are we talking about Humble Games?
Because it doesn't exist anymore.
Well,
despite what they would tell you.
Someone left the light on, I guess.
Yeah, we got a couple stories here that are a good reminder that the professional turmoil in the game industry is far from over. They've laid off all 36 employees of Humble Games. The company is saying it's a restructuring. Those former employees are very much saying it is not a restructuring. Like, the message from them is like, hey, they are killing this thing. Like, there's nobody there to do this work.
I mean, in a way, a demolition is technically a restructuring.
I suppose that's one way to look at it.
Basically, it sounds like their entire staff is gone, and that the labor for the company, in whatever form it will continue on in, will be managed by a third-party group.
Yeah, the Powell Group, which is a consultancy I had not heard of before. I talked to some people and heard some stuff at Summer Game Fest that things were not going great between Humble Games and some of the studios they were publishing in terms of funding and stuff. So this is not super surprising to see to me in light of that. But the good news is at least the people who had the people who were making games for them are not left holding the bag, right?
Right.
From the sound of things, they will
make good on their publishing contract.
The developers who were publishing through them, it sounds like, will hopefully be allowed to finish their games.
Yeah, but to reiterate, that's 36 people who are being let go from Humble Games, particularly. Humble Games, like I think you said, Alex, bought by Ziff Davis. It was 2018. It looks like, according to this story here. So yeah, yes. They have a couple of games still in development here on their list of upcoming games. Breeze, Lost Skies, I don't know, Monaco 2?
Monaco
2?
Yeah, Monaco 2. Monaco was that very well-respected indie game from, 10 years ago or something?
It was a long time ago.
Gosh.
It was that top-down heist game.
Yeah.
Multiplayer heist game.
I'm trying to look it up now.
That game is great.
Yeah, I didn't play a ton of it, but I remember people being way into it.
It was hard, but it was good.
I think it had a subtitle, didn't it? Yeah, Monaco, what's yours is mine.
Yeah.
That sounds familiar. Okay.
Yeah. We streamed it together, I think, at one point. Like, when it came out, 2013, 2014, something like that.
Sure we didn't stream Monaco?
No, I'm fairly certain. In fact, we did not stream Monaco. Yeah.
Okay, good. Never Alone 2, On Your Trail, Wizard Legend 2, Billy Bust Up. There's like a decent amount, like a handful of games here, half a dozen games here still on there. This is on their Humble Games site for upcoming.
It seems worth noting that the way people are talking about this closure makes it seem very much like Ziff Davis just could not figure out what to do with this business. Like they, game publishing seemed to be a thing that they actually did not want to be a part of, and at some point realized that they did not have the patience for it, it sounds like. But man, Ziff Davis... It's Ziff Davis. They bought another thing and did not seem to quite know what to do with it.
Yep. Sure seems that way.
They're very dedicated to this particular business model.
Billy Bust Up is one of the games they're still to publish, or hopefully will still come out from them. I've seen this has gotten some buzz. It's like a musical platformer, or a 3D platforming musical, I guess I should say, is how they pitch it.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Like people seem pretty stoked about this game.
We'd had too many weeks in a row of not bad news.
Yep. Well,
now those chickens are coming home to roost.
Yeah, guess what? It's not the only one.
Yeah.
What else you got on your list of bad news? Bringing all the bad news, Brad. What are you doing?
NetherRealm has cut its entire mobile team, and I believe some other positions as well.
Yeah, but the layoffs seem mostly focused on the mobile team.
Yes, but it seems like they basically are getting out of mobile, it seems like. They're also shutting down Mortal Kombat Onslaught.
It's like a year after it came out?
Yeah, which was their most recent mobile game.
The mobile space seems like it is really rough right now. Like, it is real sink or swim type shit.
Well, especially, again, I should say, for me, or what I've seen, the AAA, trying to bring AAA stuff into the mobile space.
Right. That seems like it is not working.
It's not gaining purchase in a way that is maybe the chips put in on it. We're expecting the bets put down on it.
Yeah, I mean, this was obviously a different kind of game. Like they've never seen the term CRPG used in this way, collection role-playing game.
Oh, is that what they were calling it?
Yeah, it's Onslaught was a pretty mobile first.
I'm going to say they can't do that. They can't just call something a CRPG that isn't a CRPG. So
anyway,
their mobile team is gone. That product is shutting down. Do we know the numbers on that? As far as like how many people this affects? I
don't think I've seen numbers.
Because NetherRealm hasn't really commented on this for the most part either, have they?
Yeah, like I heard about this because I knew somebody on the team, unfortunately, who was affected. And it looks like that's kind of how it got out there generally. Like this IGN story cites NetherRealm developers posting to LinkedIn about it.
Yeah,
as the source for it. Humble did eventually issue a statement about their closure, but I think that one also first was broken by the people who it happened to.
Saying there's still a lot going on within the video game development layoff news cycle, but maybe not hitting the news cycle as readily as some of the other ones were.
Yeah, kind of seems that way.
So that's Mortal Kombat or NetherRealm, and that's specifically their mobile stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
Going on there. Any other news from the NetherRealm stuff?
That's pretty much it. Is the shutting down the mobile game and letting that whole team go.
I don't know much about Onslaught or their Mortal Kombat mobile. I never really looked at.
We are not mobile people. We do not play a lot of mobile games. It is not our space.
Barely have a mobile phone. All right. Well, switching gears into maybe what you could consider job protection. Bethesda.
The entirety of Bethesda Game Studios has unionized.
inside, obviously, of Microsoft. So it's not the first group of people or unit to be a union inside of Microsoft, but the first game studio. Is that correct?
I'm not sure if it's the first one. It's definitely, to my mind, is the biggest one.
Okay.
I mean, like, we're talking, like, this is the team that made Starfield and is working on Elder Scrolls 6, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that seems like a pretty big one to me.
And yeah, it's Dallas, it's Rockville, and it's Austin, so that would be encompassing all the main units of that team, right?
Yeah, and I guess that covers Elder Scrolls Online as well, or no? I can't keep track of.
I think that's a separate team.
Yeah, I think you're right, actually, about that. Still, it's like 240 people ish, but again, like that's a 30-year-old studio.
Yeah.
Like that, and any major force in games, you know, like.
And inside a gigantic megacorp like Microsoft.
But it's inside a gigantic megacorp where this has happened before, technically, because remember, it was it Ravensoft's QA departments that started a lot of these balls rolling.
Right. So it's not the first group under that umbrella to do this, but again, like it's BGS is that's a pretty big deal. Like that's a large and influential and storied team, you know.
I mean, and this is with coordination with CWA.
Yes. Communication Workers of America, right?
Yeah, I believe so. And yeah, I mean, look, I honestly, I'm just speculating here, but I have to imagine seeing Microsoft's response to how, the unionization efforts went elsewhere, which was not to put up a great deal of resistance. Mm-hmm. I have to imagine that might have given them a little bit of an emboldening feeling of like, well, maybe we can do this here.
Yeah, and that was an interesting thing too, if memory serves me correctly, which you should never assume. But that was, a lot of the stuff that was happening over at Activision, Microsoft said they would not get in the way of, right? Of coming over during the acquisition. They said we will.
Activision did fight it.
Yeah, because Activision absolutely did fight it. Yeah. Microsoft said they would not get. They would take a hands-off approach and then kind of accept whatever outcome. If memory serves correct, I don't know what was actually happening. That was their statement.
And I think they're saying here that they are recognizing this union.
Yep, and they are absolutely saying now whether what happens in contract negotiation, we have no idea, but they are at least clearing that first hurdle of recognizing that this is a union and the shenanigans there may be light.
The thing I always caution is there's going to be a lot of growing pains as newly formed labor unions exist within an industry, and there's going to be hiccups and things that don't go well, but I think this is still a movement that is very much worth supporting and maybe signals a slightly better way, hopefully, to make games in the future.
Yeah, I think that's I'm personally pretty supportive of unionizing and getting protections for workers, but at the very least, getting more data points in the game development world to say what works and what doesn't work, I think is a interesting thing. And this, I think, like you were pointing out, Brad, like this is a pretty big deal. This is a group. This is a top tier developer inside a giant company. Like Bethesda's game group is not. It's not a small blip on a radar.
Like this studio has made some of the biggest games ever released.
Yeah. So to see how it is run, say what you will about Todd Howard and whatever, it is run by veterans. So they know how to make games. And they have been in this for a long time. So really interesting. I think we'll have really interesting data coming off of how this all works out and maybe model for other groups that want to do this in the future and to see how it all goes. So that's Bethesda's Game Studios.
Yeah, we'll see if other corporate parents are as kind of hands-off or agreeable about this as Microsoft has been.
Yeah, I also wonder what happens if other groups within Microsoft want to form or unionize or do any kind of collective bargaining, if they form their own groups or if they make a super group at some point within within Microsoft. Like do they stay as separate units? Is that the best way to go? Or I would imagine you can start small because you have fewer people you have to convince in a big vote, right? For unionizing. All right, so that is the Bethesda news. Slightly less setting the world on fire, but no less important here. Brad, what's Nintendo doing?
What are you talking about, man?
Listen, I've had one of these for a while. Not necessarily detachable.
It's not made by Nintendo, though.
No, it was not made by Nintendo.
That's kind of the whole thing here.
Yes.
Nintendo is putting out a Joy-Con charger.
Hooray!
Which you might say, like, okay, sure. That seems like a
end-of-life Joy-Con charger.
Well, that's the whole thing.
Switch.
That is exactly why this is actually worth noting. Like, the Switch, by all accounts, is basically moribund, Like, Nintendo themselves have said, like, hey, the new Switch will be out by
sometime next year.
Actually, what is the current line is they will reveal it within this fiscal year, right? But not necessarily launch it, I believe. But anyway, reports were... Can you believe the original reports put the Switch 2 being out in the next, 3 months before it got delayed? From right now.
This year would feel so different if we were in any kind of console run-up.
Right. Like, if that delay hadn't happened, we would be, really coming up on the launch of the next Switch right now.
But instead, we got...
So it's kind of weird to put out a peripheral like this at the end of the console's lifespan and not the beginning, but the real reason this is notable is that a lot of people are taking this as implicit confirmation of all that reporting about the next Switch's Joy-Cons. And basically the idea here is if you're still going to be able to use your old Joy-Cons with the next Switch, but they can't attach to that thing because it's using these weird magnetic connectors or whatever, we need to give people a way to be able to charge those Joy-Cons to continue using them with the new Switch that they can no longer physically attach to.
I see. So this is your stopgap measure to keep these things playable.
Yeah, they're seeding the ground. They're like, hey, we have a peripheral that will make sure you can keep using your old Joy-Cons, because a lot of people, especially people with multiple kids, have probably got a lot of extra Joy-Cons.
I've got 8 Joy-Cons.
I think I have extra Joy-Cons, and I have no reason to have them.
I've got 8 Joy-Cons and 2 Pro controllers. So it's so I've got plenty of third-party ways to charge Switch Joy-Cons, though, we'll see what this thing actually winds up being.
Yeah.
That seems pretty straightforward to me.
But is it going to be, it's $21, right?
Yeah, it's just a little dock for Joy-Cons with a USB-C connector on it.
Yeah,
although
it has no battery in it. It doesn't...
Why they put the port on the top? What the fuck?
Wait, you want the port on the bottom?
Yes, that's so ugly. Look at that.
I know, but then it'll be going into your lap. No, port on the top.
No, I'm talking about the stand.
Oh, for the stand. I thought you meant when it's...
yeah, people can look up pictures of this thing, but the actual charger thing comes with a stand, and yet the cable comes out the top of the thing. It just looks hideous if you're
but when you're playing it, if
you were gonna, I guess you could play it. Are the ergonomics of this such that you could play this? I guess you could.
It's a little tight. It's a little close
awkward,
together.
Like your fingers are going to be kind of just splayed across the back the way it's...
But
doesn't have grips as such.
Do you own the thing, the slidey thing, the dock for the 2 controllers? Did that come with the Switch, or that comes with
that's okay. That little controller dock kind of thing comes with the Switch, and that thing is proper controller shaped. This is not, but you could play this.
You could
if you had to. I guess I didn't consider that part. Although
it seems like that's why it comes off, right?
The Dreamcast was bold enough to put the cable coming out of the bottom of the controller. But I meant for standing it up on a table. If you were to permanently have this,
you're right,
on the table. That cable is pretty hideous looking. But anyway,
yeah.
But yeah, the real big deal here just seems to be can't say for sure if this theory is correct, but it sure does seem like a weird time to put something like this out.
Yes.
Unless you're going to have an ongoing need for this more than the next 6 months,
It's a very good point, and I didn't even read between those lines, so that's interesting. Yes, it's keeping these things alive for another generation.
I guess the first time Nintendo has done backwards controller compatibility. Well, no, that's not true.
You could use the Wii.
Yeah, you could. We had GameCube ports on it. It's not totally unheard of, but in the modern era, I guess it's been a little bit. Of course, you could also use Joy-Cons on the Wii U. Just forget I said anything.
But I guess the biggest, to your point about the thing about reading between the lines here, to reiterate, looking forward to whatever that MagRail thing, if that winds up being true, is for the Switch successor we talked about a while ago.
Yes,
whatever technology they're doing there.
Also, to correct myself, I think I just said Joy-Cons when I meant Wii Remotes with the Wii U anyway.
Yeah. Look, man, they're all kind of the same thing in some way.
Yes, it's been a lot of consoles. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm starting to wonder if there's crazy stuff going on with magnet technology that we've just missed, because the rumors about this year's Apple Watch are also that they are going to a magnetic band. Have I mentioned that before? Maybe I did.
What does that mean, a magnetic band?
It would attach
a clasp?
Like right now, the removable Apple Watch band slides into like it attaches mechanically.
Like with pins?
It slides into kind of a little trough in the housing.
Okay.
So it's physically kind of locked in. And the rumor there is similar to what they're talking about with the Switch 2 of the new band.
Okay.
The new band would just attach magnetically to the watch face.
But does it use like a little bit of a charge to activate?
I don't know if it's that same. Yeah, I don't know if it's that same magnet technology that's being rumored for the Switch 2. That sounds like it must be pretty reliable.
Love a magnet.
Are on-off magnets about to get super cool? Is what I'm saying.
I hope so.
Is everything about to have super cool magnetic connections on everything that are like really hard to break?
Well,
I hope so.
I'll just say this right now. We have one of those, I think, on our camera doorbell thing, and one time it just stopped working and the thing fell.
Cool.
the camera just fell off.
Yeah, the magnet just said "nah" for a second, and that was all it took.
So don't scale a building just yet with your on-off magnets.
No,
okay.
You are not Spider-Man yet. Sorry.
Not quite yet. All right. Finally, our last story here. We talked about him at the top of the show. Of course, we'll talk about him now. Our favorite little blue bomber, Mega Man. What do you do with this little guy, Brad? What's Capcom going to do?
I was going to ask. Since we have our resident Mega Man expert here.
I'm literally holding up a Mega Man. That's where I went.
The story is in a shareholder Q&A, Capcom has made comments to the effect that they want to start making a lot more Mega Man games.
Okay.
Or, Mega Man is one of our highly valued IPs, and we are considering how to create games for it on an ongoing basis, is what it is. So, I mean, I don't know how many games that constitutes, but they have not exactly made a lot of Mega Man games in the last 20 years.
No. They've made, what, 3 proper ones? The
9 and 10... 9 and 10 were both the NES style with the same graphics, right?
Those are the 360 download ones that were like the old NES games.
And then 11 was the fully 3D but still 2D gameplay, and people liked that quite a bit, right?
I did. It had some flaws, but it felt like a really good starting point for what they could have done with more Mega Man, and then they just didn't do it.
Yeah, that was 6 years ago that came out.
Yeah.
Anyway, sounds like maybe they have an interest in getting Mega Man on some kind of more regular cadence. So what is that?
What is that?
Like what do you do with Mega Man?
What do you do with Mega Man?
How many synonyms for fire do we have left?
Right. Or maybe the bigger question is, can you just keep making games in the format forever? I don't think so.
I did see the idea yesterday as this news was, I think, coming around, someone floating the idea of a straight-up Metroidvania where it's just you're using the abilities that you gain from beating the bosses to navigate new areas in the Metroidvania.
Look, I know we are spoiled for choice as far as Metroidvanias goes these days. But I would super duper play a good Mega Man Metroidvania, a Megavania.
I would certainly try one of those. I think you can make straight up Mega Man games in the vein of like 11 or, more retro throwbacks. It's doable. You just need to have people with ideas. That's it. Like it's all good Mega Man games and bad Mega Man games are basically separated between, did they have enough ideas for bosses? Do these levels feel like they are novel, or are they just recycling the same shit? That's pretty much it.
First person Mega Man Prime.
You could do it.
Sure.
Didn't they cancel one of those at some point, like in the PS2 era, I think?
I hope so.
They talked about doing one of those, and I think I got canceled.
Maverick Hunter.
Oh, wow.
When was that? That was a long time ago?
That was when we were still at GameSpot, I think.
2010 is when that...
Oh, was it that recent?
It looks like it was in production for about 6 months in 2010.
Okay.
Alex, you consider yourself probably a fan of the Mega Man, right?
Love the Blue Bomber. Big fan.
Can we take a minute here?
Mm-hmm.
It's maybe 3 minutes here. I want to test your knowledge of Mega Man. Can you name all the bosses from Mega Man 1?
Elecman, Cutman, Gutsman, Iceman. Did I already say Elecman?
Yeah.
Yes.
I know I'm missing 1 or 2, right?
You are.
Okay, Elecman, Gutsman, Cutsman.
Think about the order you do them in.
Oh, I'm not that good with Mega Man 1 because that game is not. I don't like that game that much. But all right, Gutsman, Cutsman, Elecman, Iceman. There's a fire guy, right? Fireman.
Let me make sure I'm getting just Mega Man 1 folks here. because there are a lot of bosses here.
Yeah,
So you
it's
said
Fireman, I think.
Fireman, yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there's one more that I'm forgetting.
You said Cutman, Gutsman,
Electman, Iceman,
Yep.
Fireman.
You're missing one more.
I can't remember the other one.
Bomb Man.
Bomb Man, that's right. Okay.
How about Mega Man 2? Is that your jam?
That's my jam. Airman, Crashman, Metal Man, Woodsman or Woodman, Heat Man, Flashman, Quick Man,
Yes.
Bubble Man.
Yes.
That should be it, right?
I think you got them all.
Sounded like all of them.
You said Airman, right?
Yeah, I did. That was the first one.
Wait a minute. Are you a Crashman second person?
I'm a Crashman third. Or sorry, Crashman second. Yes. Crashman second, Metal Man third.
Okay. I go the other way on that.
Could you dip into Metal Man, Mega Man 3 or
I think so. Magnet
all
Man.
Right. Okay.
All right. Magnet Man, Hard Man.
Okay.
Probably the best of all the names. Gemini Man.
Yes.
Snake Man.
Uh-huh.
Okay, now this is getting a little tough. Magnet Man, Hard Man, Gemini Man, Top Man.
Yes.
There's like 3 I'm still missing, right?
You've got 3 that you were missing.
Shit.
I'm going to give you one.
Is it Shockman?
Oh, you're so close. It's in the realm. It is in that vein.
Bright Man?
No. You are in the realm, but it's the opposite of Bright Man.
Shadow Man?
Yes.
Okay, that's one.
Shockman is incredibly close.
But it is an electric guy, right?
Yep.
Okay,
Yes.
I can see him. He's got the 2 little like pointy arms, like they're fucking T1000 or something, right?
Yes.
Yes, and there's like an electric bolt going between the arms and his head.
Well, it's maybe not an electric bolt. What else could it be called? Like if it's you put 2 electrodes together, it might create a.
Are we doing a Twin Peaks like riddle here? Is this the fucking are the people in the Black Lodge fucking talking about the electricity?
It's Sparkman.
Sparkman. Fuck. Okay.
And then you have one more.
Yeah, I got nothing.
If
left.
you go to the doctor, you might be afraid to get a
colonoscopy man.
That's right. That's right. But go get it anyway.
Yeah.
It's good. No, Needle Man.
Needle Man. Yeah. Okay. That's why I forget it because I don't like the needles.
Yeah. All right.
I can name maybe a smattering of the ones that came after, but definitely not all of the lineups from all the games after that.
No, I'm going to release you, though.
Pharaoh Man is 4, right?
Pharaoh Man is 4, yes.
Yeah. That was when I think they started taking reader submissions.
Sorry, what was that one?
Pharaoh Man, like a pharaoh.
Pharaoh Man. Yes, I remember Pharaoh Man. I thought you said Feral Man for a second.
Yeah, Will Ferrell.
Yeah, Skull Man, Dust Man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they start getting pretty silly. Gyro Man.
They really do run out of synonyms for fire at a certain point, I think.
I tried going through some of these with my kids, and we couldn't get too far. Yes, Flame Man, though, makes an appearance later on. Yeah, I don't know what you do with this little guy.
Make more of them. That's my suggestion. It seems like they're already doing that, so I hope the people you have making more of them have some good ideas.
Yeah, Did we do an origin story yet?
I mean, they're all Mega Man 1, I think, kind of is, but they're all sort of touch at the origin a little bit.
Okay. And it's like regular Mega Man versus X are kind of different stories, sort of. My question is, do they all have to be 2D? Like, could you make a proper third-person Mega Man?
I'd love to see someone try. I don't know if it'd be any good, but I'd like to see it.
You want to see what Mega Man his butt looks like? You want to see what he looks like behind the
I know what it looks like.
Helmet.
It's right here.
Yeah,
looking at it.
Great little butt.
Mega Man is in this weird in-between space where it's one of the few franchises from that era when everything was 2D that is still very popular, but has not really transitioned to 3D very well, outside of like Battle Network or like some of the spin-offs. But everything else from that era that's still big is fully just modern now, right?
Yeah.
But Mega Man still continues to mostly be looked at as this kind of 2D throwback.
I mean, it's a series that I think really peaked in that era, and it just felt like they were just trying to keep it going at a certain point.
What if you did like Mega Man 100, put all of the bosses in, and you play against
Mortal Kombat Trilogy style?
You put
All right.
yeah,
Basically,
and
just
now,
ROM hack a bunch of fucking bosses into the old games.
Yeah,
Yeah.
surely has somebody made that just like all bosses, Mega Man 1 through 6, all in one game, like giant
Yeah.
selection screen.
put them all in, and then everybody joins a match, and then it's a random boss with all the bosses, and you go and see who could beat the boss first in a 100 people battle. There you go. I figured it out, Capcom.
Yeah.
And I'm just an idiot with a podcast. Jeez Louise, what are we even doing here?
I kind of feel like this thing happening is maybe a slight response to, not directly, but just sort of following the trend of a bunch of these Japanese publishers being like, oh, right, we own all these old games. We should make some more of them, like Sega.
Yes. Nostalgia, hell of a drug.
Yeah.
I found somebody just like photoshopped a stage, like a stage select, a boss selection screen of every Mega Man boss from 1 through 10.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
It's a lot of bosses. It looks awesome though. Like, just make this a real game.
Please put this in a window. I would like to look at it.
Yeah, just make it like go like
Sure, yeah. Put a randomizer in there. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess it would be hard if you didn't have the. You'd have to figure out a way to get the I guess maybe do random weapons too for everybody, or they all get the same weapons.
Yeah, or just kind of
the counter.
Do some basic balancing to make sure there are combinations that work.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm kind of shocked this hasn't happened yet.
Yeah. All right.
Maybe it will.
That's Capcom. You get those ideas for free.
Mm-hmm.
Capcom, take it.
I mean, you can pay us if you want.
You can. No, I don't know. Like a weird thing and be like, okay.
No,
look,
we
this cool
disclose
Mega Man
it.
Came out, and yeah.
I'd disclose it. I'd say, yeah, no, this Mega Man game they paid me to come up with ideas for is really great. You should play it.
God,
They paid me to say that, too.
I forgot. 7 is a SNES game, right?
Yes, that's the SNES one, and then 8 is the PlayStation one.
Right. Okay.
Is that the one with the cutscenes?
Yeah.
But those are technically still in the Prime continuity, not the X, right?
Yeah, though
Nothing to do with Mega Man X.
it's telling that 9 did not come until the 360 era.
Well, we'll see what happens next for a little for Mega Man.
Yeah, they were making a lot of those X games for a while too there, though.
Yeah, like Mega Man X, I think, superseded the original series kind of a lot.
Pretty much.
For a while there.
Never loved the X games. They're fine. I just never really loved them.
I had nothing against them at all. It was just very much a not my Mega Man kind of situation.
Not my Mega Man. What about Zero? Is that a thing? Mega Man Zero?
Zero is a character from Mega Man X.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
He may have gotten his own game at some point.
Thought there were mobile Mega Man Zero games.
It's
It's got a sword,
They
right?
tried to zhuzh him up too much. They tried to make him too cool anime robot boy looking, and he's not like helpful, adorable 1950s, stereotype of a cherubic angel boy fucking robot boy. That's what I want.
Oh God,
More Astro Boy.
I was going to say Mega Man is just an Astro Boy knockoff, isn't he?
Oh, totally. Like Astro Boy with a gun arm.
Yep.
All right. That's
and
gonna do it for
some
the
modesty.
news.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Put some damn underwear on. Or I guess Astro Boy has underwear on.
He has
Put some
underwear,
damn
but not
pants
much
on.
else.
Dr.
Yeah.
Tenma, Dr. Light, it's all the same shit.
That's going to do it for the news. How about some emails? We have an email address here, podcast@nextlander.com, podcast@nextlander.com. Brad Shoemaker, what's in the email bag?
I'm going to let Alex go first on this one because we got about 5 times more emails than usual this week, and almost all of them pertain to college sports.
This is what happens
Turns
when you put
out-
out the call, man.
Turns out people have opinions on sports.
And I do want to clarify one thing here as we go into this, is that when I said you are from the town, I should have just said from the region, because I also understand implicitly that if you live in Alabama, Oklahoma, North Carolina, or Oregon, you just inherently root for the big football teams there, which are the college teams.
Okay.
So that is a completely understandable fandom to me. I was more interested in the people who had no connection whatsoever to any college, to any region where that shit is super popular. And we even did get a few of those emails as well.
Well, what do the folks have to say? What are they telling you?
I'll just read a couple here. Thank you to everyone who wrote in, by the way. This one is from Jonathan. I've been a fan of the Wisconsin Badgers all my life, even though I never attended UW-Madison or lived in Madison. The only exception being for basketball, I root for Marquette. From my experience, there's a lot of colleges that get tagged as the default school to root for if you don't have a personal attachment to another school. I think there's a tiered system when it comes to choosing which team to pull for, and this is his tiered system. Number 1, you go to the college in question.
Okay.
Absolutely. Totally agree.
Default. Okay.
Yeah. Number 2, you have family that goes to the college.
Okay.
Yes. 3, you live in the city that the school is in.
Okay.
4, you live in the state that matches the name of the school.
Okay.
5, you like the mascot.
Okay. Okay.
6, cool jerseys.
Okay.
Sure.
No, that's it.
That's it.
Can I add a tier to this?
By all means.
This would probably be above 6, but you played like a video game where that team was really good in it, and like
totally.
you just got like attached to the team because you played like an NES game or Super Nintendo or some sports game where it's like, I don't know, this team's just really good.
Totally. This one is from Marco. Hey guys, you wanted people to chime in about those who support a college team but don't live in the city or state where who went to the school. Well, I am one such person. I live in Canada, but I have been a huge fan of the Miami Hurricanes.
Wait, okay.
This fandom started as a child, and as you can guess why I liked them, it was their mascot. I liked Sebastian the Ibis.
Oh, so okay, we got
Sebastian the what?
Ibis.
Ibis?
Ibis?
Sounds like we have a tier 6 fan here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's tier 5. Tier 5 is you like the mascot. Yeah.
Mascot, okay.
Yeah, this is a category 5 hurricane. He reminded me of Donald Duck. Ibis is a bird. It's like a stork or something like that.
Okay. IBIS, it turns out.
Yeah. It also didn't hurt that the Hurricanes football program was a top 10 school in the 80s and 90s when I was a kid. To this day, I still follow the school, but I have never stepped foot on the University of Miami campus, and I'm not sure that I ever will. So you have a Canuck who's a fan of South Florida school. Hopefully some Europeans chimed in with their college support.
That's pretty good. Ibis, huh?
Ibis.
Don Ibis, the mascot of the Hurricanes?
Yes. And we do have some Europeans. In fact, we got a couple of different Irish people who both said that they were big fans of college football for one reason or another. This one's from James. College football has recently had a flurry of games scheduled in Dublin, and as a long-suffering Chicago Bears fan residing in London and wanting to experience how different the college atmosphere is, I had to be in attendance for the Northwestern Wildcats versus the Nebraska Cornhuskers a few years back.
Huh.
Already suffering the debilitating effects of supporting one Illinois-based supporting outfit, I had no choice but to pick Nebraska on the day as my team. They would go on to lose 31-28. Could I name anyone on the current roster? No. Where's Nebraska? I've narrowed it down to the United States.
Okay.
What is a Cornhusker? There's no way to know. When Georgia Tech play Florida State in Ireland next month, we'll proudly be there with my Crimson Husker jersey. Naturally.
Wow.
Okay.
Now I bleed red.
Man.
So yes, there are plenty of people out there who have seized on these fandoms for reasons that are maybe inexplicable to me, but actually maybe fairly understandable when they tell you why.
Sure. There's some chatter about this on the Discord as well. I also got the sense there was another angle or vector. I'm not quite sure how to describe it. Kind of like people want to be in on the ground floor of a team that hasn't become popular or hasn't gotten really built up yet.
Mm-hmm. Sure,
So
I was a fan when. Yeah.
Right, sometimes people look for like a team that is not in the spotlight and kind of hitch their wagon to that with the hopes that
they're an up-and-comer.
Yes.
We did get a lot of emails.
It was a lot.
This is the most emails we have maybe gotten for any one subject, and it's because it's about college sports.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, there are entire talk radio industries that are built explicitly on just getting people to want to say something to you about college sports.
All right. Is that what you got there, Alex? That's what we're going to read for the college
there
sports
were many
fans?
more. All of
Many
them
more.
were some effect of the various things that we cited. Those were just the ones I thought were most amusing. So,
Brad, we have any other emails we want to get to?
Yeah. James in London. Do you feel that indie sequels don't often hit the heights of the original compared to AAA sequels? I'm thinking Spelunky 2, Hades 2, Darkest Dungeon 2, Hotline Miami 2. Whereas often AAA sequels refine things much, much more. I love his list of AAA sequels that he thought of. Batman Arkham City and Street Fighter 2.
yeah.
Yes, I guess those technically are both big sequels to big games from big publishers. Are there any indie sequels you feel are better than the original? I guess I would add like a couple that came to mind for me. AAA sequels that massively improved Mass Effect 2, Assassin's Creed 2.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Both like leaps and bounds over their predecessors.
I'd agree with those. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of see where you're coming from on this. Like, I suspect it's a lot of a like scope and resources kind of thing. You know?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like a giant publisher like an EA or Ubisoft, like first game hits, second game you throw like way more resources at the sequel, right?
I would say I'm going to agree with you 100% there. Yes, and you probably have the team and the kind of personnel now to kind of put something new in the game that doesn't change it. But I would also say the development time on those big games probably pushes you into a place where it's a little hard for me to put into words, but the industry changes enough. Like, you're talking about such lead times on those big games that new mechanics, new things happen in the industry by the time you're working on your sequel and you're getting it out on those big games. There's like just innovation, whether it's engines or new mechanics that other people have put in, new multiplayer modes in a lot of those games. Like, you are just incorporating those big things. And I feel like indie sequels just move more rapidly. They just kind of iterate faster. And they don't want to mess up the thing that made their indie game popular in the first place.
Yeah, or they may just not have the budget to go wildly out of scope compared to the first one.
I will mention one here though. Helldivers 2.
Yeah.
Is that an indie game? Yeah, kinda.
Yes.
Indie-ish.
Well, yes. I mean, they're published by Sony though, so
yeah.
Not owned by Sony though.
Kind of. Independent studio, but like very much like large publisher funded game.
But pretty big difference between Helldivers 1 and Helldivers 2.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
So, massive. I don't know if I put Hades 2 on that list yet. I mean, that game's not fully out.
Yeah, it's not out yet.
Yeah. Like, and honestly, that game does seem pretty promising. Like, I'm into it. I don't know. Like, I understand why some people might not be as excited for it because it isn't something new from Supergiant. It's, it's a follow-up, but I actually am kind of curious to see what a sequel from them looks like because they've never done one before.
Yeah. I mean, reading between the lines of the way he wrote this email, I'm guessing kind of what he means is like sequels that are not wildly different from the originals.
Yeah.
Because like Hades 2, obviously pretty similar format to the first one, even if they've added a lot.
Risk of Rain 2.
That's one that changed dramatically.
And I think I like Risk of Rain 2 more than I like Risk of Rain. I think I put more time into that. Okay.
But that's just because I liked the first game so much.
Yeah, fair.
But I think back to like Mass Effect 2 when they were doing promotional cycle for that game, like as an example of what you can do with a big studio. Like, they identified the combat as being kind of weak in the original Mass Effect. Like, they went and hired more combat designers who had worked on other more combat focused games in the past, right? Like, you're able to expand and bring in new expertise pretty easily if your large corporate parent allows you to.
Fellas?
Yeah.
We have some late breaking news.
Oh boy.
Well, no, this is not bad news.
Okay. Just consider all the news that's been taking place lately.
Yes, it does pivot off one of our stories, but it's not one of the bad ones.
Oh, I meant broadly in the world.
No. This is relevant to our conversations today.
Should I assume a crash position?
Breaking news from Rebecca Valentine at IGN. The entire World of Warcraft team has also officially unionized.
Oh, wow.
Right. That seems like a very big team.
It is a 500-person team.
Yeah, that's a big deal. And that's also technically under Microsoft, although still culturally much more part of Activision.
Yeah.
Blizzard.
Yeah, this just broke.
That's cool.
There must be some behind the scenes stuff going on over in the Microsoft universe.
This has apparently been in the works for about 3 years now, and they finally got it to the point where it was ready to go. So,
okay, because that is an interesting one, having probably then started under Activision, or definitely started under Activision, and made its way through the Microsoft parentage now.
So anyway, just to follow up to a story we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
It's all happening.
Yes.
All at once.
The Activision sequel. Will it be better than the first? Maybe. Maybe.
I mean, Bobby Kotick's not there, so that helps.
Yes, when you have a lot of money, you can get rid of Bobby
You can get
Kotick.
rid of problems. Weird.
Brad, any other emails you want to take?
Yes. Let me see here. Email from Martin. about old console video output.
Oh, okay.
Following up from last week. Figured I'd write in to try and clear up some of the confusion about the output of old Nintendo consoles, which came up on last week's podcast. Basically, Brad was right. Both the NES and SNES output their video at 240p, as do basically all pre-3D consoles. The reason why Vinny might be a bit confused, especially when he remembers capturing those consoles, is that 240p is kind of a hack that's only really used by old consoles and computers, and isn't recognized by the vast majority of professional video equipment, which instead usually sees it as an off-spec 480i signal instead. This is one of the many reasons why old consoles need specialized scaling hardware like the RetroTink to work well on modern displays.
Yeah, I did look this up after we talked about it. I've talked about trying to capture 240p before. It sucks. Like all of the commercial hardware just ignores it, and we had to do some real funky pass-through stuff to get those things even into. This is before, retro tinks and whatever. And,
before the hobbyists really got a hold of this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you guys remember Folsoms and giant scan converters and stuff like that, or running them through those clamshells. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
To push out those little Sony clamshells to push out and get a stable video at 480i. I did look this up, though. The Super Nintendo supports 480i, but apparently like one game ever came out in 480i ever is from what I could find. So the specs were there from what I could find, but no game was ever really we would have never captured in 480i on. So I must have just been misremembering for
wild
3D consoles.
It's RPM Racing. RPM Racing is the one commercial SNES game that can output at 480i. Weird.
I'm definitely not saying I remember trying to capture that game at 480i, because I don't think we ever would have done that. I'm definitely misremembering capturing the Super Nintendo, but I thought it was interesting that it could support it. And then I did find some people trying to get Super Mario World running at 480i through other means, and that took me down a bit of a rabbit hole.
Yeah, God, this can't be right, can it? I'm seeing some suggestion that you might be able to use a Game Genie to tell a SNES to output 480i.
Again,
weird.
Not relevant to my memory of trying to capture these things, but interesting nonetheless.
Anyway,
yeah, video signals. That stuff was a pain in the butt. With the stuff capturing that stuff in the Aja boxes just would not work. We had to do a lot of weird monkeying around, and I learned a lot about progressive and interlace scan stuff and 240p, which more than I wanted to know at the time.
Yep.
Just wanted to capture the damn game and have it not lose tracking. But thank you, Martin, for the email.
Yeah.
I will say this, so much easier now.
Oh, yeah.
To capture that stuff. Some things incredibly harder to capture because it's all the handshaking and digital stuff with HDMI. That particular thing, like the consumer level upscaler, very good.
Yeah. Yes. God bless Mike Chi. God bless the RetroTinks and open source scan converters of the world.
Yes.
Like they have like fully simplified a problem that used to be incredibly complicated.
Those Folsoms, very expensive. Framemeisters, very expensive.
Very expensive.
So yeah, that stuff's cool.
Yeah. To be fair, RetroTink's also pretty expensive.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but you can kind of build an open scale, open scaler. What's the open
source scan
scaler?
converter?
Yeah,
I don't know how much those go for these days.
And you can find cheaper things to just. You might get latency. You might not be super great, but you can find things to try and get your video into something else for capture.
Oh, it looks like you can get your hands on an OSSC for like under $200 now.
Yeah, I don't think they're too bad to do. Again, I don't know anything about whether they stink or if there's latency built into it or what the horsepower you need to bypass the latency.
I think they were like the go-to before the RetroTinks came along, if I'm not mistaken. Like, are those or the Framemeister? I'm not sure which.
Framemeister was definitely in the scene for a long time, and I have a Framemeister here. They are pretty good, and they're still pretty good. But the thing I was looking at recently was the Analog Pocket. I'm on their list for when they come back in stock. But it's one of those things. I got an email recently that's like, they're back in stock, and it was like the limited edition ones. And I was like, no, this is way too. It's like $400 or something. And I was like, no,
not happening.
They're just a bunch of colorways, basically.
Yeah, and
I do not care for the way that Analog does business.
Like in terms of limited release, or
yeah, like those super duper limited production runs. And there's also like, I don't really need to get into it. They have been pretty antagonistic toward the open source development community of a lot of the stuff that runs on their handhelds.
Oh, really? Like trying to lock it out?
Yes, it's a very long story. Like there's a lot of like trying to get people to do free work for them type stuff.
Well, it's one of those things that feels like if it came back in stock, I would still have to be like, I would probably be fighting against just FOMO at that point versus do I need this thing? Would I be fighting against, but it's in stock, versus like, am I going to use this thing?
Yeah, well, actually, I mean, at this point, you absolutely should wait and see what happens with these Taki Udon Mr. spinoffs that are in the works that we've talked about before.
Yeah, the Super Mister.
Yeah, because one of those is going to be a handheld, and like, boy, he's talking a big game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, these things are either going to be like the coolest thing that have ever happened in retro games, or just like completely fall flat on their face,
or like never come out.
Like, there's no in between. Well, he's like tweeting photos of stuff that's in production now. Like, it's stuff will definitely come out unless the supply chain just like breaks somehow. But that Mr. Handheld he's talking up sounds pretty impressive.
I wonder how the battery life will be.
I don't know. We will see.
We will see. We will see. All right. Any more emails?
Why don't we call it there?
Okay. That's going to do it for emails. Again, if you want to email us, podcast@nextlander.com, podcast@nextlander.com. Big news going on over in Watchcast Town. Ring, ring. Here comes the Watchcast trolley. We are done with Twin Peaks at all. We've talked about what we think of Twin Peaks. We've gone through every thread and nook and cranny and uncovered every Gordon Cole there is to uncover. Alex has read books. We have watched shows, and you can hear all of our thoughts on those in our bonus episode up now on patreon.com/Nextlander. And we've gone back to the movies.
Hell yeah.
We have watched Jackie Brown. We have recorded our Jackie Brown episode that is currently in production. That'll go up next week. And then we've got more movies coming up until we basically reset and get back into our theme stuff or whatever cycle we have there.
We have a vacation coming up here. Like, there's an episode you're not going to be on, Vinny, which will be the one after Jackie Brown. So, like, we're just going to basically announce what the next thing is at the end of each episode for a few weeks.
Yeah. So we'll be bopping around for a little bit until we get into the groove there. But Jackie Brown will be up next week, and then there'll be an episode with a guest coming out soon, and then we'll be on a little bit of a break there. Oh, fingers crossed. Booking guests, people are busy. You never know. I hate promising other people's time when things do happen. So I'm going to not promise people's time here. I'm just going to say we recorded it. Never been a better Never been a better podcast recorded yesterday. We had Austin and Abby on. A lot of fun, a lot of good life lessons. You want to learn how to get shit done? Abby's got it for you. You want to learn how to do a crossword puzzle? Austin's got your back there. You want to learn
how to do a British crossword puzzle? No, you don't.
No, nobody wants to. Did you know there was a difference? I didn't. You can find all of that out at Never Been a Better Podcast. That should hopefully be going up at the end of this week. That's my hope. I'm going to try and edit that tomorrow while Brad is continuing his Fallout journey. Fallout 1. How's that going? What are you up to?
It's going well.
Yeah.
This might be the first time I've managed to stream it 2 weeks in a row consecutively.
How's that water chip?
So I actually remember what I'm doing now. I'm under 100 days left now on the water chip.
Okay.
So clock is ticking.
Clock is always ticking.
Yep.
You can check that out, and then we'll have a Patron's Choice going up on Friday, so look for a poll on the Patreon. That's patreon.com/Nextlander, where all the best Nextlander stuff can be found. You can find a tier that is right for you. You get things like Never Been a Better Podcast, Ramblecast, Video Ramblecast. You get the Watchcast early, bunch of stuff. Find a tier that is right for you. One tier there, though, gets their names read on this here show. It's the Mysterious Benefactor tier, and I'm going to read those names for you right now. Starting with Sean Miller, RRE, Infelicitous Rips, Kelly F., Brian Lucier, Skywarp, John Hubbard, Evan Cook, Mark Wilhelm, Jerry Lee, Deidre Broke CrowdStrike, Gary Pejke, Robert Fisher, Bunny Fiend, Jad Rita, Statics, Fantasticasm89, Brian Murphy, Randy Duax, Andrew Tiebkin, Alex Wu, It's Me JP, Edward Chick, Andrew Slosky, Steve Lynn, Matthew Herrig, David Campos, and Tyler Treese. Those are our mysterious benefactors for this week. Thank you so much, and thanks to everyone who has supported us. Couldn't do it without you. We have fantastic guests that come through here. We might have some guests coming over on our Patron's Choice. We have guests coming through next week because I'm going to be out. You help support bringing those fine people on and giving them a little bit of compensation for their very precious time. So we appreciate that. And you can do that again by going to patreon.com/Nextlander. Whew, that's a show. And video games.
A lot of them.
It's a decent amount of video games we got going on. I've got stuff I can go end this podcast and go boot up any one of these consoles or PCs and go play a game right now. I can sit there and play Flintlock. I'm probably going to play a Ranger, though. I'm probably just going to go finish a Ranger. I'm going to be off next week. Maybe I'll finish a Ranger. Oh, I didn't mention this. Late breaking news. Late breaking news. The group I play Satisfactory with, we finished the early access.
Oh,
hot
we
damn.
did.
Wait a minute.
We made it to the, I forget the hour counts, the hundreds of hours we have in, but we have finished the early access. We got the last tier delivered. We are done. That game is supposed to go into 1.0, I think, next month, is it?
Have they put an actual date on it? I know it's soon.
Yeah. No, there's a date on it because we were trying to get it done before 1.0.
Wait, so are you just going to turn right around and start a new game again?
I don't know. We were thinking we've been playing for a while, so we were thinking maybe doing something else. But
September 10th.
September 10th.
I would definitely like to play some of that.
Yeah, well, look, I think they're adding or supposedly adding a bunch of narrative stuff in. We'll finally figure out what the Mercer Spheres are supposed to do in that game. It'll be a full game at 1.0. It's been in early access a long time, Satisfactory.
Yeah, I don't think I've played it since we streamed it 4 to 5 years ago.
Which I don't think was the beginning of it. So it's been going for a little bit. 2019? Is that when that came out in early access?
Might be right. Steam says 2020, but didn't it come out on Epic first, I think?
I think so. That's where I have mine, on Epic. So anyway, I thought I'd share that with folks. I should get I had one of the people I play with send me the save file, so I can have it forever.
That's cool.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah,
it's a lot of work.
Yeah, I believe it.
That's kind of like when I backed up our Minecraft world from the streams we did when the pandemic first started.
Yeah,
which I still have.
Oh, great.
Actually, I put it out there. Anybody can download it, and it's still up. It's up on Giant Bomb.
What flavor, if you don't mind me asking, what flavor of Minecraft was that at the time?
That was Java.
That was Java? Okay. And that can't convert to Bedrock?
I don't know if you could convert a Java world to Bedrock now that you mention it. That's a good question.
I have no idea. Maybe. All right. I'm going to end this podcast. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Thanks, Alex Navarro. Thanks, Brad Shoemaker. Thanks for listening. And we'll be back. Well, these guys will be back next week. See ya.